Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. Thanks for tuning in. It's been kind of a few weird episodes so far, leading up to this, our first big film. Definitely excited to finally jump in and get it done, and definitely excited to have you guys here listening. You guys know the man who I'm here with. Why don't you introduce yourself, bud?
Hey all, how you going? My name's Zoheb. You probably already know me, obviously.
But yeah, so we're really excited to be doing this. It's been a bit of a rocky road. Anybody who probably got into any kind of podcasting knows the technical difficulties, any kind of creative thing, music or movies. I mean, there's just, can't let it get you down though. So here we are, and here you are, and we're happy to have you with us. But yeah, tonight we're going to be covering 1993's Jurassic Park. Directed by the man himself, Steven Spielberg. Don't blow your load over there, Zoheb, because I said Steven Spielberg. But
It's too late. It's too late, man.
all the loads have already been blown. Um, but yeah, we're super excited to have you guys here with us. This is definitely a big movie for Zoheb. This is definitely something that I knew we were going to cover at some point, and we really just, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember one of the first things we talked about, it was really one of the first ideas was Jurassic Park, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. I'm 100% down.
Well, yeah, we talked about, okay, what movie should we go with first, and then we both kind of thought about, okay, so the first movie has to be a big episode, something that people know, something that people love. It's universally loved.
Mm-hmm.
We could have obviously gone the other way, something that people obviously hated, but we didn't want to start the episode off with a negative. Oh, sorry, the show off with a negative, so it had to be a positive. And then, it's like we both thought of it. We had it in our heads at the same time. Like, we were just like, okay, it's going to be full of wonder. It's going to be action. It's going to be exciting. And then I just threw it out there. I'm like, oh, what about Jurassic Park? And he's like, dude, that's exactly what I had in my head.
Yeah, it's a movie that nobody can hate. I just, even if you don't particularly love it, you can't sit there and tell me it's a bad movie. There's just no way.
And it's funny because I'm not going to spoil it, but what we have in store for you next episode, the same thing happened as well. The same thing happened
absolutely.
as well.
Yeah, when he threw, next, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yes, that was another moment of like high five from across many seas. Like, yes, that's the one that we're going to be doing.
Many millions of miles.
Yeah, and hours of time travel, and but yeah, so pretty much here on Midnight Double Feature, we're going to be just covering the news, also covering film, and we'll have some separate episodes for the news, and sometimes we'll also have things that we're gonna, on this episode, I'm sure you're gonna hear about some news and things that pop up. It's why we love doing this stuff. Sometimes it's just impossible to contain the nerdy love for it, and just in the news episodes, because there's so much that's coming in and stuff. There's always more news. There's always something going on. So every episode, I feel like even if it's not a news episode, there'll probably still be something mentioned about any kind of TV or movies that are going on right now. But with that being said, that's pretty much the format for the show. I want to thank a few people that have helped us along the way. Definitely my friend Chris Kennedy, call him the Comeback Kid. My friend Chris Kennedy, he actually loaned me the Blue Yeti microphone that I'm using right now. That both of us are using. Well, Chris didn't give his to Zoheb, but we're both using Blue Yetis.
Yeah. Speaking, just to add to that, I'd like to thank Matt Vella. He lent me the microphone I've used for the last 2 episodes, but then I went out and purchased a Blue Yeti as well. Just to kind of make it my own thing,
Yeah, and I would definitely like to thank, and Chris again. Chris also helped write any of the music that you're going to hear on Midnight Double Feature so far. Chris really wrote the majority of. He and I kind of worked together on a few things, but that guy, he's a music writing machine, and 99% of that is him, with maybe my hand on a little bit, but really it's all him. So thank you very much, Chris. And I know I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's Tommy. I can't.
Tommy Lombardozzi.
Yes, thank you.
Lombardozzi?
I wasn't even going to
Lombardozzi.
try. I was like, that's going to be so. I'm going to butcher it. But thanks Thank you so much, Tommy. He is responsible for the artwork that we have here on Midnight Double Feature, and I absolutely love it. I thought it was great as soon as we saw it, and I was just in love with it. And it's fantastic, and it really, really made me excited to do this. It was one of the things when I saw it that I was like, this is really taking shape. This feels okay. Wow, that's the things are starting to get kind of real.
Yeah, man, it was definitely a thing that kind of motivated us a lot more. Like, I mean, before that we were like, okay, we're doing this, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh wow, we're doing this. This is
Oh yeah,
this is happening. Also, yeah, he's with that last name, man. He's definitely one of them Italians. one of them Italians. And when I was in New York, I mean, we missed each other by a little bit. We were gonna hang out, but one of them Italians from New York, man. You know what that means? One of them made men, I think, mafia.
Oh, I've seen Goodfellas. I no, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
But
Funny
yeah,
how?
what do I have, a fucking clown? Like I fucking amuse you? And also a big thank you to Dean Martin, Matthew Anderson, Christopher Schrader. These are all people who, if you haven't listened to them, please check out the Science Fiction Film Podcast or Hey Do You Remember? Or any of the other podcasts underneath the LSG Media flag. Except for Hey Do You Remember? That's a separate podcast, not to confuse the two. But all three of those guys, I know we've had questions, they've had answers, and they're the salt of the earth. They're really nice guys. And Matthew Anderson, never even met me before, talked to me on the phone for 45 minutes, helping me with podcast stuff. He's just a great guy. They're all great guys. And just wanted to, especially on our first official episode covering a movie, wanted to thank the people who have, helped us along the way. And,
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for LSG, I wouldn't have met Zoheb and a lot of the really, really nice people that are in that community. So thank you guys very much. And you guys are a really big inspiration.
Absolutely, man. I mean, those guys are the reason we do what we do. I mean, what we're doing right now. I mean, they inspired the hell out of me. So
absolutely. So tip of the hat to you, gentlemen. But yeah. So I think with that, Zoheb, you got some news for us?
It's the only place that feels like I mean anything. The Oasis was the brainchild of James Halliday.
Hello. If you're watching this, I'm dead. I created a hidden object, an Easter egg. The first person to find the egg will inherit $500 billion and total control of the Oasis itself.
So I saw Ready Player One. Yes, I know. A lot of people have been excited for this, man. I was definitely excited for it. They released the trailer. I believe it was at Comic-Con last year, and I had never heard of this book because it's based on a book by Ernest Cline. I'd never heard of it before, so when I saw the trailer, I was blown away. I'm like, where? Like, there's all these pop culture figure, like faces and all that. And then I immediately went out and bought the book after that, and I just finished that thing in like less than a week.
Nice,
because it's only pretty short. But yeah, man, I love the hell out of it. It was great. It's great. It reminded me a lot of Willy Wonka. Spoilers to those who haven't read the book or haven't seen the movie. I'm not going to spoil the movie because it's still very new. I mean, it's only been out for like 3 days, so I'm not going to spoil the movie, but I will maybe talk about the book a little bit. Mm-hmm. So the book essentially is structured really straightforward. There's a thing called the Oasis, and the Oasis is a massive, giant virtual video game. And essentially, that's where people like to spend their reality now, because reality's become a piece of shit. It's in the future, by the way. So
yeah,
and in that way, it's very relevant to today. Because I mean, today's society, today's really, I mean, we're seeing things like, terrorism and war and like there's so much negativity out there, and I get that people need to escape and all that. So in the book, the Oasis has become normality, and essentially Halliday, who created the Oasis, before he dies, he leaves kind of like a massive Easter egg hunt, and whoever can find these 3 keys gets to find the Easter egg, and whoever finds it gets to inherit his share of the Oasis, which is obviously the majority share because he created it.
Right.
yeah, so it leads to millions and millions of dollars. I think it's billions actually. Um, but yeah, that's essentially it. It's like a massive Easter egg hunt. And when I was reading it, I was like, okay, this will make a great movie, but I don't see like the movie's gonna have to take some really massive liberties with this to kind of transform it into a screenplay. Um, by the way, the movie was written by Ernest Cline as well, with Zach Penn, who did Avengers.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's Ernest Cline and Zach Penn, with obviously still with Steven Spielberg directing. So it's pretty awesome too. Um, but yeah, man, like I said, they took a lot of liberties with it, and a lot of people won't be happy about that. But I was, man, like, because when I was reading that book, I was like, this is gonna be tough because the book, I mean, it flies by. Like I said, I read that thing really quickly, because it flows really well, but at the same time, the movie might just be like 45 minutes if it follows the book.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that aren't sort of in sequence and things like that, so they had to take a lot of liberties with it. Um, but yeah, man, it was awesome. It was a great movie. I mean, this is only a movie that Steven Spielberg could make. It really had his magical touch, like movies like Jurassic Park and E.T. do. Like he makes movies like these kind of movies, by the way, not because he's kind of split himself up into two categories now. He makes like a serious movie, and then he makes a wondrous big movie. And usually they're like one every year, because like we had The Post a couple of months ago, and now we've got Ready Player One, and The Post is completely different, but yeah, it's still very Spielberg. So yeah, man, it feels really like Spielberg. It's loaded with a lot of heart and humor and spectacle, and it had a lot more heart than the book did because I felt for the main character and the girl that he was in love with, and in terms visually, man, the Oasis and the action sequences were like holy shit. Spielberg does this thing where he likes to do long takes. Like think of the Saving Private Ryan Normandy landing sequence at the start of that movie. That was massive. That was a work of art back in the day, and it still is today. But yeah, he does a lot of that here in this movie, like really long takes. But I mean, like, you can't really call them takes because they're like all CGI action sequences, which I don't really have a problem with. A lot of people have problems with it, but I'm like, come on, man, you're in a video game. Like, obviously, it's gonna be CGI.
Yeah, you're making a movie like that. There's no way. I mean, practically,
exactly.
There's no way.
That's right, and you can't make a movie like this without that kind of thing. And like, it's got a message to it too, man. Like I said, it's about escaping. It's about escaping the reality of today, and just going into. This is what I feel like gaming is. Like, just you come home from work and you have dinner, and then you just plop yourself down in front of your TV and play like an hour of your game, and you're transported away from the shitty reality.
Right.
And that's what this movie's talking about. It's like it's got morals. It's got meaning behind it, and like I think a lot of people might overlook that because the trailer makes it look like it obviously has to sell the movie, right? It's going to be a big blockbuster action movie with like a lot of effects, and I don't think they honed in enough on like the meaning behind it and like the heart.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a shame, but I mean, I get that they have to sell this movie because it's $175 million budget and they've got to make that shit back. So, yeah, man, it's got a lot of heart. And like I said, the changes to the book were really well justified, and I thought they felt really necessary because the book's not perfect. The book's got a lot of cringeworthy dialogue. I mean, Ernest Cline isn't the greatest at that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, there's okay, I haven't even touched on all the little references because this movie is chock full of them. I'm not going to spoil any here, But I'm gonna bring one up for you, especially. You're a massive Stephen King fan, right?
Oh yeah.
You're gonna you're gonna love like a 20-minute portion of this movie then, because
No,
it is.
because
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't really have any interest to see it. A guy I work with, yeah, he has been talking about this movie. I mean, even way before it was ever even in talks to be a movie. I remember when that book first came out. He has just been, dude, you got to read this book. You got to read this book. You got to read this book. And then eventually I saw that there was a movie being made, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is probably going to be pretty big. And then once I saw the first trailer and saw all of the pop culture kind of references, I was like, God, that must have been a nightmare to get all of that stuff. I mean, so many different, because it
All of the
seems
licenses.
right.
Yeah.
It's very well aware of itself. It's not like this is a world where like Back to the Future and Freddy Krueger and stuff like that don't exist. They're very well aware of it, and it's like I couldn't imagine trying to get all of those properties into one little drawer. Like God, that must have been a nightmare. But
Yeah, that's right.
but honestly, I think it probably speaks a testament to the book, because if the book was good enough that it was worth dealing with all those nightmares, then it's probably worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I thought I thought it was just straight up fun. Like I mean, a lot of people forget to have fun at the movies these days. I mean, everyone's just looking out for like, oh, I don't really like that storyline. That doesn't look too great to me, and like, I wish it kind of went here. Like, no, just have fun. Just seriously, like, I mean, I went in with big expectations, and like, I'm not one of those people who are like they deviated really heavily from the book, so now I'm going to be pissed at it because it didn't follow the book. But like, it's an adaptation. Like, it's another creative person's take on a source material, so obviously it's going to be different.
Right. Especially being
but
two
like
different mediums, it's going to be
exactly
it's going to be different.
exactly. I mean, a script, yeah, like the movie, it has to be different because you're going to spend a lot more time there than the book.
Hmm.
But anyway, this is straight up fun, man. I gave this a 9 out of 10 somewhere else, but yeah, I'm definitely sticking to it. It might have just been, I was kind of transported by the magic of it, so I'll watch it again. But I mean, when I walked out of it, I was like, this is great. I had so much fun with this.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I definitely, especially after hearing the way that you feel about it, and I've heard only a couple people that I know that have gone to see it, but I'm definitely excited. We were actually at Books A Million last night, just right down the road from us, and we actually bought Stranger Things Monopoly and stayed up till like midnight playing it last night.
Nice.
But they had this entire Ready Player One section of merch, and all the pops and wallets, and I was like, wow, this movie's going to be huge. I knew it was going to be big. Obviously, Spielberg and all these different properties put together, but I had no idea exactly how big it was going to be. But
See, I don't know. I've got a feeling it might actually flop.
really,
Yeah. I mean, my cinema was sold out, but it's not. The book is not really. It's well known, but relatively not well known, like compared to things like Star Wars or Marvel. Putting down $175 million, sorry, for a movie these days is a big thing. Sorry, a movie that's not already franchised.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you put. Hey, it's Spielberg doing it. Oh, okay. Well, then that's kind of, I guess that's kind of like their ace in
Right.
the hole, really, is Spielberg.
Exactly.
But yeah. So do you want to jump into this, or anything else you want to cover?
No, man, that's all I got for this week.
John, the kind of control you're attempting is, it's not possible. Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously, but, well, there it is. There it is.
You're implying that a group composed entirely of female animals will breed?
No, I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
Like I said at the top of the hour, we're going to be doing Jurassic Park. We're jumping in right now, and yeah, I guess. Do you want to talk about the movie for a few minutes, or you just want to go ahead and jump right in?
Let's give our thoughts on it, man. Like, I mean, let's talk about how we came across it. To be honest, if you can remember.
Yeah, I remember, we after we kind of got everything settled down, how we were going to host this, where we were going to, or what we were going to name it, and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. Um, it really all just came down to the content. What do we want to do? And I know as many movies as we agree on, I feel like there's a good chunk that we probably don't agree on. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of different things that you've seen that I haven't seen, like a lot of newer movies, and there's a lot of older stuff that I grew up with that I remember talking about, like Monster Squad and Silver Bullet, and you're like, dude, I haven't seen any of those. So
yeah,
there's
I haven't seen any of that shit, man.
I knew it wasn't going to be a challenge for us to find anything, but we were like, we need something good, we need something everybody can agree on.
That's universally loved.
Right. It kind of felt like that scene in Ghostbusters 2 when they're trying to pick, they pick the Statue of Liberty to come into the town and save the day and all this stuff. So it felt like getting Jurassic Park was like the Statue of Liberty for us. It's like, oh, dude, there's just no way, and I haven't watched this movie in a better part of 15 years, maybe even 20 years. I've never owned it. We never had it in the house growing up. It was not in our rotation of movies. And I never really had a desire to see it. And it's not something that I dislike. It's just always been there. It's almost like one of those things. It was there so much that you didn't even miss it. It's right there in your face. But like I said, it's not something that we watched a lot as kids. I've seen the sequel. I haven't seen any of Jurassic World. I haven't seen the Jurassic World movies. I've seen Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. But yeah, always been a good franchise, and always been a good entertainment, and especially for a wide age range of people. And it's like it's kind of like even if you're not like a clean kind of, no, my movies have to have no profanity and no nudity. It's even if you're one of those people, it's for you. Or if you love those kind of movies, it's also for you. Like it's really just so good. But yeah, like I said, didn't really grow up with it, but watched it this time, and I'll get into how I feel about it. But yeah, not something that I watched a lot as a kid. So I was excited to do it this time because I feel like that's one thing too. I'm going to be watching a lot of movies that I probably wouldn't necessarily watch just based on your recommendation, and probably likewise. There's going to be things where it's like, all right, well, if Zoheb has watched this and he liked it, I got to give it a watch. I got to check it out and see what it's all about. But yeah, let's give us a little history of your love for Jurassic Park, because we all know it's love.
Dude. I mean, how is this not in your rotation when you were younger? I mean, how was your upbringing, man? Like, seriously.
Well, I was raised Church of Christ, so we weren't allowed to believe in dinosaurs. Right. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, why? What? Really?
No.
Yeah. No, go on.
Oh, I say no. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not like I'm not like a Mennonite or anything. Like
yeah. No. I'm just gonna hang up and just discontinue the podcast. Maybe I think. But no, man. Seriously, this was. I feel like this was always a part of my life, man. Like, I can't remember a time when this wasn't in my life. It's kind of like Star Wars in that way. I don't even know where to start. I can't remember the first time I saw this, but I remember being terrified, right? Like, I mean, goddamn, the Rex and the Velociraptors, especially, the sounds that they made, the way they looked, I've never seen anything like them ever before. And neither had the public, the general public, right? Before this movie came out, I mean, dinosaurs were a thing, but they weren't really in popular culture like this,
Right.
Yeah, so it was really weird. But yeah, no, dude, this was always in the rotation at my place. Me and my brother would always quote it. We'd always like kind of go back and watch it eventually again. I rewatched the movie a couple of years ago in 3D when they re-released it, which was awesome as well. But yeah, no, man, this is a piece of work. This is I can't tell you how good this movie is, and like how it makes you feel as well. Like it's really wondrous, and then it's really terrifying, and then it's really gripping, and then it's really emotional. These are a lot of things to pull off in a movie, man. And I think Spielberg just absolutely nailed the hell out of it. And Michael Crichton, I haven't read the book, but I think some credit should be given to Michael Crichton, who wrote the book, for coming up with this concept. Essentially, I mean, you know, I actually just recently rewatched Westworld, and I feel like he loves theme parks. He loves theme parks where things go wrong. So, yeah. But no, man, that's my feelings on it, man. This movie's always been in my life.
That's awesome. It's good. I think for a good first episode, we've got definitely different takes on it, a different history with it, and yeah, that's good. It's always good to, you know, not have just a, you know, like a circle jerk of a movie. Although those are good, but you know, as a first episode, it's good to kind of have a little balance. So yeah, I just say we go ahead and you ready just to dive in? Awesome. Here we go. So yeah, some of our first episodes, some of our first shots actually were coming in. We've got these really cool shots through the trees, this really ominous kind of feeling, the lights coming in.
The music. I love the music here. Through the Universal logo and the Amblin logo, you get like John Williams score. Like it's not even the iconic Jurassic Park score, but it's still like it's wonderful, man. Like, I mean, but at the same time, it's trying to tell you this is weird. This is gonna be like what we're about to see here. It's like it's gonna be dangerous, but it's also interesting. I don't know how a piece of music can say that, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely got this, you know, you're curious, but you know, curiosity is what killed the cat. Like everybody, you know, that's kind of a running theme in this. It's just your curiosity, you know, getting the better of you, and maybe some things are better left, you know, buried. But yeah, so we've got these workers. If you can remind me, what is the name of this island that they're on? I always forget this.
Isla Nublar. So it's just off Costa Rica.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I knew this.
So this one had Isla Nublar. The sequel, The Lost World, which shall not be spoken of, is Isla Sorna, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, that's so funny because Lost World was actually, I had toys of that, and I remember having that as a kid on VHS. Yeah, having Lost World. That's so funny. You're like, this should never be spoken of. I'm like, oh, I had the Jeep and all that stuff.
Yeah, I recently rewatched it, man. It's definitely on the back end of Spielberg's resume.
But yeah, so these kind of opening scenes, we've got these workers. Obviously, you know, something big going on. All these lights, all of this random smoke for some reason, like it's an 80s rock video. There's all this like steam and stuff coming up, and all these like blinking lights. But the most 90s like combat gear ever on these guys.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it looks like something that you would get out of a kid's Walmart, you know, cop uniform. Just a bunch
of G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it's just a blue jumpsuit with a bunch of straps and flaps and stuff on it. But yeah, so yeah, we've got these workers. They're bringing in, you know, we're not really sure exactly what they're bringing in, but we have a pretty good fucking idea. The place is called Jurassic Park, so so yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what they're bringing in.
Right?
Robots?
Yeah, no, it's a crate full of puppies.
Probably.
But we've got the gatekeeper, you know, coming out, the guy unlocking the hatch, and I told Zoheb before, I was like, I jokingly, I couldn't help. I was like, what if this was this guy's first day? This guy that just gets devoured by this thing. Like, he went through training and did all the stuff and, you know, passed his drug screen, his background, and, you know, gave his wife a kiss before he left work and was like, you know, today's the first day of the rest of my life. And it just like, I'm watching this scene right now.
His family's just waiting for him to come back.
Right.
Like, they're like, oh, wonder when Jeffrey's going to come home.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. But props to Muldoon, though. Muldoon really gets in there, and he tries to save that guy. You know, he really does. He gives it his all.
Dude, Muldoon is awesome. Like, he's so serious all the time, man. Like, later, when he's just like, the raptor fences aren't out, are they? And I'm just like, God damn, you've got presence, dude. Like, God,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, so unfortunately, our gatekeeper dies on what is presumably his first day. But yeah, that cuts to our lawyer. What is it, Gennaro? I believe Gennaro is his name. The lawyer.
Wait. Before we move on, man, I gotta quote Muldoon. Shoot her!
Yeah.
Shoot her!
And it sounds better coming out of you than me because your voice is somewhat similar. Yeah, it's like somewhat.
No, he's like British or something, isn't he? I don't know. But,
yeah.
But like, yeah, man, that guy gets destroyed. Like that raptor is so powerful. Like, and this scene is done so well because you never fully see the raptor, you see bits of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that shot of its eye. Oh my god, that is horrifying, dude.
Yeah, then you can see it looking at her, and he looks back like, oh god, like
yeah.
I definitely had an ominous feeling of like, this is like, yeah, she's got your number, you know, she's definitely gonna remember your face.
Yeah, man. This is man versus nature. Like, this is what this movie's about, dude. Like, this is an allegory of, hey, nature's gonna fuck you up every time. And just seeing the power of this creature, like the guy gets lifted up off the floor, like he gets devoured, man.
Yeah, and he definitely got put in the shredder. But
yeah, exactly. And can we just take a second to appreciate the sound of these creatures? Like, god damn, the sound that these things make. Apparently they mixed it with a whale and what was it? A whale?
Like a dolphin?
Yeah, a dolphin and something else. Yeah, we're doing great at podcasting, by the way. But
yeah,
but yeah, like they mixed a few creatures together and like, as a sound designer, you kind of have a lot of liberty there because, like, I mean, we didn't obviously have recording devices when these creatures were alive, so we don't really know what the hell they sound like. We know what they might look like, fossils and stuff, but yeah, when it comes to sounds, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I've got it written down here. Actually, the noises were comprised of a dog, a penguin, a tiger, alligator, and an elephant. Which, I mean, that may not be all of them. That may be none of them. Hell, I don't know. But but yeah, it's the same thing for American Werewolf in London. Well, it's one of my favorite movies. And
yeah, John Landis.
Yeah. To sound like Nick Frost, yeah. It's just that howl is comprised of so many different things, and I love that. It's just, you know, putting the pieces together to get the right sound. But yeah, so after the death of our gatekeeper, we're gonna cut to the lawyer. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Gennaro, I believe. Gennaro.
Yeah, I think it's like the maiden name of Bruce Willis's wife in Die Hard. Gennaro.
Yeah.
Gennaro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, he's immediately shitty. Like, he's not like hateable. You don't hate him, like, but like, you can tell Steven Spielberg's got something against lawyers, which makes me laugh because, I mean, I want to be a lawyer, so it's just he's just so immediately incompetent. Like, he's tripping over and shit. But like, I mean, come on, man. The guy doesn't have to be wearing a suit. He knows he's going to the jungle.
Right. He looks so much like a fish out of water. Like, you immediately, just his stance on that little raft they're bringing him in. It's just like, he looks like he's trying not to shit his pants. Like, immediately.
He's trying to balance himself. I'm like, why are you wearing a whole 3-piece? Like, I mean, you know where you were going, right? I mean, you know you were going to like a mining thing, like
right, a dig. It's like, you know what's happening here, but yeah. So basically, he represents the investors of Hammond's Park, and after the death of the worker, the family suing them for $20 million, which is probably modest by today's standards. But they're suing him for $20 million. And basically the
$20 million back in '93, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 20. Yeah, that's true. But the Yeah, so the lawyer is there to basically they want to bring in some experts, take a look at the island, see exactly what's going on, and of course Hammond's not even on the island. Apparently, the death of the death of this worker at his this kind of park that's never been made before. It's just of no I guess no worry to him. He's like, whatever. My daughter's getting a divorce. I gotta go.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, right. He's like, we'll pay him. Don't worry about it. So basically and I love when Gennaro when he falls and he picks him up like he just slips on the rocks. But
this is the thing, like, because like, okay, I hate slapstick comedy. I can't stand it. Slapstick comedy is the worst.
Yeah,
but it's just funny because he's just such a shitty person. He's just so shitty. Like, he's just a shitty lawyer. He's like, yeah, I'm the lawyer. I don't really know street smarts. I'm only book smart.
Yeah. They make him seem so incompetent and like inadequate as soon as he gets there. Like he's just constantly clutching that briefcase and being afraid of everything around him. So yeah, basically the insurance the backers of this park, the investors, basically, they're questioning the safety of the park now. They're wanting to bring in a few other opinions. I believe the investors actually want Ian Malcolm, which is Jeff Goldblum's character, and Hammond, which we'll see in a minute. He obviously wants Sadler and Grant. So yeah, they're just wanting to ease some concerns. I guess he's kind of got this whole great and powerful Oz thing going on right now, and not letting anybody see it, not letting except for obviously the people who are there. But obviously, Gennaro hasn't seen it. A lot of people involved with it haven't really seen the thing so far. So I think everyone's just kind of curious and wanting to ease some concerns after this worker's death. So yeah, after we cut from Gennaro and we kind of get that zoom in of that mosquito and the amber, that really, it's such a great shot. It pulls back from so far away.
It's so awesome.
So good.
So awesome. And obviously when I was a kid and I watched this, I didn't understand the concept of like the mosquito being trapped in the amber. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why does it look like this? Like, when I was a kid, I was like, I didn't really get when they explained the whole genetic editing later. That went way over my head. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is great. Let's get back to the dinosaurs, please.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a kid. You don't have to explain this. It's dinosaurs. I'm cool. Which even as an adult, if you start, if you really try, and there's those people who are, really in all reality, it's like that. It's a movie, man. Like you said earlier, some people just kind of forget to let themselves go and have fun. It's a movie. It's a
science fiction movie.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, we cut to I believe it's Montana. We're cutting to Sadler and Grant here on a dig in the Badlands of Montana, I believe. And yeah, immediately first line out of Sam Neill's mouth, I hate computers.
It's just such a perfect allegory for the movie, man, and like what the behind the scenes crew would have been thinking as well, because this is I'm just gonna sort of bring it up here. This movie was a landmark in CGI, which is computer generated imagery. This was the first time that they'd created moving creatures. We did have Terminator 2 before this, which was a landmark as well. Just 2 years before this, by the way, when they did the T-1000. But nothing on this scale. This was literally Phil Tippett and like Stan Winston and all them thought they'd be going extinct. These guys were like, these guys were like masters in like animatronics and puppetry and all that, and they were like, oh god, this is what we can do now? Fuck, I'm out of a job, man. Yeah. Like, probably, gonna repossess the house, gonna move somewhere, gonna move to some shitty dumps, and like, yeah. But that's probably what they were thinking, and like, it's even referenced later.
Mm-hmm, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they wound up making it, making it into the script, into the dialogue, which is great. But yeah, it's definitely an allegory, and I think also for what's going on with oh God, I hate computers, and I think Grant is used to having his head in the sand all day and looking at these things and never ever ever, having this possibility of thinking like, oh yeah, these things could be alive right now, and blah blah blah. And I'm sure it's just such a shock to his system to see those things, and the whole I hate computers thing, like the advancement of technology, and it's really the advancement of technology that allowed for this to happen, obviously. So it's definitely good right off the bat to set that up.
Very meta indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, they're basically on a dig, and they're shooting that kind of sonar shell, I guess, down into the ground, and they're not even having to dig, and it's so funny because that's it right off the bat that Sam Neill's like, oh, that's so cool and that's awesome, and it's like, dude, just wait till you see the fucking dinosaurs. And of course, that doesn't look very scary. Kid,
boy.
Dude, I would, in a zombie apocalypse, I would push that kid down. I'm sorry, I immediately, I would, that kid, that's my brother Austin and I. That is something that is so something we would do at work, like making fun of somebody. But yeah. So Dr. Grant's giving him the lowdown. Definitely gonna put a cork in this kid's pipe. Just that whole, you stare at him and he just stares back. Oh God, that is so, because at first the kid's shrugging him off, and it's really hard to picture this because it seems like just ages ago that anything like that would ever happen. It would never get a hold of you, and just making it seem so real, and coming at him with that claw, and I mean, if I were that kid's age, I would definitely have been terrified. But talking about not coming from the back or from the sides, or coming at him from the front, so the other two will pick him up from the sides.
It's a creepy prospect, man. It's so creepy.
Right. And yeah, it's just great, and him going into the description of how, it's not like a tiger. The tiger goes for your jugular, so you won't move. It's like, so you're alive while it's eating you. It's like, oh my God, that is so, he could kill you right now, but he's not, because he wants to enjoy what he's doing right now. That's terrifying. That you are alive when they start to eat you. Like, oh man, no thanks. I'm good. Thank God these things are dead.
Right. I'm gonna touch on this kid. Oh, that was weird. Touch on this kid. Holy shit. God damn it.
Oh my God.
That got dark. I'm going to talk about this kid for a sec. I gotta choose my words more carefully. I'm gonna talk about this kid a little more here. I'm gonna reference and they'll these guys will be referenced a lot. You brought up LSG Media before. So Jessica and Dean from that podcast covered this movie earlier. And I'm not going to be ripping off things straight from them, so I'm just gonna reference them a couple times. So they brought up something that was really interesting. This kid, there was rumors that this kid might have been Chris Pratt's character in Jurassic World, all grown up. Yeah, all grown up, and essentially this kid was asked, it was put to him, and he said, well, no, it's not really me, because kids like me don't get to grow up and look like Chris Pratt.
Oh, man.
And a little bit of self-deprecating humor there. But then I'm just thinking, like, okay, obviously this kid didn't see Parks and Recreation before Chris Pratt lost all that weight,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's neither here nor there. And I'm done touching on kids now.
Oh my God. But yeah, the kid immediately, I wanted to kick this kid in the face, like with a shovel from several stories up.
I love that look that he gives after like Grant's like done with the story. He just kind of like looks back at the people in the tent, and he's just like freaked out.
Yeah, he's just immediately like, I really wanted it to pan out, and there was just like a huge piss puddle all over the kid's pants. Like he just pissed himself in front of all these people, and he starts like crying, and he can't help it, and his parents just left him there or something. I don't know, something terrible.
Someone walks through that dirt in it, like a bit later, and they're like, why is this sand so muddy?
Yeah, right. Oh, that's oh my god. But yeah, so Grant is definitely not a kid person. I can relate to that. Not that I hate kids, but I just, I've I've got a sister. She's 10 years older than me. I'm the youngest of four. She's the oldest. And all the same parents. Like the four of us. But it's just such an age gap that by the time she had her first kid, I was like 10. So yeah, she was 20. I was 10. I work with my nephew now. I literally work with him. He's a great guy. He's a good worker and stuff. And, he's 18, about to be 19 in June, and it's just so odd. So that's really why I don't like children, because I had to deal with them from such an early age. And helping raise those guys and stuff, and they're really the best. But I've had my child years. Like, I'm good. I don't want to. I don't think I'll ever have kids. But I definitely can see. I definitely can see Grant's side of things. You want to have one of those. And she's like, I don't want to have that kid. I would.
These two are so great together, man. Like they're so natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. A kid between these two people, like she said, I don't want to have that kid. It's like, I don't, yeah, if these two people had that kid, something is very wrong. But yeah, so after that, we've got Hammond coming in like a douchebag and blowing all of this dust everywhere, which I don't see how, as someone who's in the field, how does he not, how does he not think about that? Oh yeah, they're doing a dig. I'll just show up with a giant leaf blower.
This is why I like Hammond. He's not doing it on purpose. He's very as smart as he is. He came up with this idea for Jurassic Park, which is amazing. But he's very naive. And that carries out throughout the whole movie. And this is just the start of it. Like, he's very naive. He doesn't really fully think things through. This is very in tune with his character.
Yeah, it's just kind of, perfectly, like you said, or like Jeff Goldblum said, you didn't even before you even had time to think about what you had. It seems like he's just so caught up in the idea of things, that he doesn't think about the consequences from it. That's Steven Spielberg, felt like he related to him really well in that same sense of just like, I just want to chase the idea, and you don't really think about what's the logistics of how that idea really applies to everything.
Well, yeah, he's like he's like George Lucas.
Right.
With the prequels, he's an idea. He comes up with a great idea, but doesn't execute it so well.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, Hammond is there. He wants them to come, and he basically is assuming that they're going to come in and be like, "Oh yeah, it looks great," blah blah blah. He's assuming that they're going to come in and be fully on board. They're of course hesitant, but he's offers to fund them for the next 3 years. So that kind of shuts down any doubt right away, and they just light up.
They're so great. I love how they light up, and they're just so absolutely over the moon by the funding. They're just like, yes, we can carry on with what we wanted to do, with what we love doing, and here it is. It's just kind of fallen into our lap, and this is what we want to do, and we've got the money for it now.
Yeah. So this is just a random thing that, just the scene about paleontology and stuff. The study of paleontology like skyrocketed after this movie came out. I was reading a little bit online, hit up the IMDb trivia section and went and looked a little bit, and I was like, because I don't want to just take it from IMDb and be like, no, it's true, and I Googled it, read through some other websites, and they were like, yeah, it just after this came out, it just blew up, and it's kind of hard to think of. You say someone's like, hey, name a movie, about a giant ape. You're like, well, there's King Kong, and I guess there's Kong Skull Island, and then there's like this Rampage movie. It's like, all right, name something about dinosaurs. It's like, well, Jurassic Park or maybe Godzilla, and I don't even think you'd call Godzilla a dinosaur, whatever the hell he is.
Nope. He's a mutant lizard.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd be really, when you think dinosaur movie, it's kind of crazy to think about that this was something that hadn't happened before 1993, that somebody hadn't tried to get this made. I guess, tip of the hat to Michael Crichton for kind of, putting that idea together. But so yeah, they've, they celebrate. They're getting funded for the next 3 years and going to be seeing this island. And we cut to San Jose, Costa Rica, where we've got Dodson coming out.
Oh my god, I love this.
It's so funny because having not seen this movie for so long, I did not know where the meme came from of him like Dodson. See, nobody cares. It's like
I quote this with my mate so often. I mean, like, and it's not even in context. I'm just like, sometimes I just go, Dodson, we got Dodson here, and then like we just fucking we both crack up, man. How great is it?
Yeah.
Wayne Knight is so good here as well, man.
Dude, you took the words out of my mouth. That's literally what I was about to say. He's great.
Yeah,
He's Dodson. We got Dodson here. But not even that. He's just like he's so happy. He's so happy when he opens the can, and he's just like he just keeps laughing. He's like, seriously. I feel like he's gonna pop. Yeah, he's definitely a jolly fellow. He looks like he's about to burst with just with happiness.
And I love like how he uses the shaving cream and he puts it on the pie or whatever it is. It's just like...
I really wanted to see, like, just in the background you see the person on the table next to them pick up the pie and start eating it. I really wanted to see that happen.
But like, and then like when it comes time to pay the bill, he's like, don't cheap out on me.
Yeah, right. This guy's I can't remember exactly how much he's paying. It's an insane amount. So yeah, basically, I guess we should talk about. I'm going to keep calling him Newman if I don't look and see what his name is. Nedry, which is
Nedry, yes.
Yeah, which is insanely close to Newman. Newman Nedry. It's like so close.
You can call him Newman.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. You want to get on my good side? Hit me with a Seinfeld quote, and I'm gonna know it. I watch that 3 or 4 times a week.
It's like me with The Office, the U.S. Office.
Yeah, my girlfriend's all about that show. We watch it too. She got me onto it, and there was actually just a little tangent, a office trivia night here in Nashville at this place called the Soda Parlor. We went on Halloween for a Stranger Things trivia night, and we almost won. Actually, we were in like 3rd place. And she went to the Office one. No, there was just no way. There was it was over capacity. There were so many people there. It's not a huge place. If you're ever in Nashville, check out the Soda Parlor. It's a great place. But and I'm trying to think of exactly where it is, but not really important. But it's downtown Nashville. But they had this huge trivia night for The Office, and she was like, we just walked in and like walked out. It's like there were so many people. There were people standing.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's just massive, huge show. Really shows you how popular that is. But yeah, so we cut to the helicopter at our first shot of the what is my favorite part of this movie. If anybody can guess what I'm about to say, Jeff Goldblum. He's definitely. I'm going to say it right now. Jeff Goldblum's my favorite part of this movie. He I love Jeff Goldblum. He's been in a lot of, it's yeah. He's got this real like Tim Curry Rocky Horror laugh going on. But I love that, Hammond, like, I brought in, scientists, you brought in a rock star. And it's so funny, actually. I think, what was it? What movie was it? I'm going to blank on this, but Spielberg was, I can't remember if it was an Oscar or what, but he was going against, because the gentleman who plays Hammond, I can't remember his name, if you can correct me on that.
Oh, Attenborough.
Thank you. Yeah. Was it Richard Attenborough?
Richard.
Yeah. They were competing for, I can't remember what award, because he's a director, and beat out Spielberg, and then Spielberg got to direct him in this movie. And I was like, oh, wow, that must have not hard to do. I'm sure he's a great director, but
he directed Gandhi.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what he beat. Yeah. I'm not sure what Spielberg's movie was at the time.
Gandhi was 1982. Oh, actually, Gandhi was 1982.
I think Gandhi beat E.T. because I know here in the U.S., I believe that Blade Runner, E.T., and The Thing.
Yeah, it was
E.T.
E.T.
Yeah, All of them came out in 1982 on the same day. I'm pretty sure in
God
the
damn,
U.S.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's insane.
which explains why I'm a huge Blade Runner fan. I am a huge John Carpenter's a Thing fan. I've got multiple copies of those movies, and it explains why they got kind of beat, kind of swept under the rug. E.T. comes out, and blows everything away. So yeah, we've got Dr. Ian Malcolm, and yes, and what exactly is Ian Malcolm? He's not a paleontologist like them. He's a chaos theory.
They call him a chaotician,
right?
Which I don't fully understand why he's here. I don't know why the lawyer bought him. Do you get it? Because I don't really know how it applies to approving the park.
Right. I mean, because at first I thought he was, I thought he was, a paleontologist along with them. I'm not sure if maybe they just wanted somebody outside of the field, maybe, which makes sense. You take two people who study dinosaurs and then tell them that you have real dinosaurs. There's a good chance that they're just going to go, yeah, do it. It's great, and I guess having somebody
kind of like a normal person, without any sort of any sort of subjective views.
Right, yeah, you need somebody who's not going to have that kind of bias. You need almost like a control in an experiment. You've got to have somebody there. And I think he's great. At first, he kind of comes across as like, God, I don't know about this guy. But he seems.
I'm glad he's there.
Right, yeah, he seems kind of douchey, but he's actually pretty cool.
But I'm gonna bring up a part here, and I'm gonna get my hoity-toity nerd on. So Grant fashioning the seatbelt. You know how it's got the two. He can't put the seatbelts together.
Yeah.
With only the two latches and no latch plate. Okay. It foreshadows a later scene where the dinosaurs are suddenly able to breed, despite that they were all originally female, because they've both got the seatbelts are both like female, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like plugging it. It's kind of like trying to plug in two ends instead of plugging one just straight into the socket.
Yes. Two lesbian seatbelts.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that pseudo-American accent you slipped into there for a second. That was pretty good.
I do okay. Also, this is a notable scene because this is the first time we hear John Williams' amazing score, the iconic one at least. God damn, man, the score, the music in this lends so much to the movie. This is such a perfect example of where audio and visual come together to create such an amazing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get that first shot of the island. There's that waterfall. The John Williams is coming on. And John Williams is one of those. We talked about that before. When it's Sean Williams. It's just like hearing Danny Elfman or anybody else. Like who it is. When you hear it. But yeah, so and then that first shot of the Jeep, seeing the Jeep with that iconic logo, like, oh my God, that looks so good.
Yeah, the door off the door, yeah.
Yes, and it's like, oh, I want. Sometimes I look at, or I'll see a prop in a movie or something, and I'm like, God, I wonder how much it would cost, to have one of those. Like if you could have one of the original Jeeps from Jurassic Park, like, oh my God, I'm sure that would. I
would have preferred to have one of those electric ones, man, because I feel like those are a little more iconic than the Jeeps that they actually drive around, the actual petrol powered ones. Right. I like those the ones that gets absolutely destroyed by the T-Rex later.
Oh, yeah, aren't those like the green ones?
Yeah, sorry, the other green ones. Yeah. I'm colorblind actually. If no one knew that, my friends know that. I'm actually partially colorblind.
Are you really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I did not. Yeah. Well, now I seem like a jackass. No.
Yeah, you're mocking disabled kids, and I'm talking about pedophilia before. Like Jesus. This is a great start.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is the beginning to a beautiful friendship.
Yes.
So yeah, immediately they pull up in those Jeeps, and there's Clark, and he's taps Sadler, turns her head straight up, and both like you said, I think it's so great. Both of them have such a good genuine reaction to to what's going on right now, because they're just seeing this, studying your whole life over something that no longer exists. It'd be like just or like learning Aramaic, or some dead language or something that doesn't even exist anymore, and to see it open world right in front of you with your own two eyes, and just right there you could reach out and touch it. Their reaction is just so great. They seem so
absolutely, man, absolutely.
Yeah, they're just so awestruck to see this, and you did it, you crazy son of a bitch, you did it.
This scene's so iconic as well. Like the way, I love that they don't reveal the dinosaurs immediately. Like you see the reactions first, and then like as you're seeing their reactions, you're like, holy shit, what are they looking at? What could be so amazing to warrant these kind of reactions?
Yeah, the dinosaurs look fantastic from kind of far away. I think the closer you get up, like I'm not hating on the CGI. It's CGI from 1993, so you can't. I don't know. It still looks great. I'm walking a fence here. I don't want to seem like I'm talking bad about the special effects, because for the time it's great. And you can't really compare it to what you have now. But I'm always more of a fan of the practical stuff. I really think like their practical effects look better, but the CGI effects, it's still look good. They still look great.
That being said, I think it's worth noting that this sequence here, this is the sequence where the effects don't really hold up as well as the other scenes.
Right.
When you when you see the T-Rex come out of the come over the fence, that is incredible. But this it does hold up. It looks okay. It looks fine. It's just it's still a bit okay. This is obviously CGI, and it's obviously really early CGI. But that also being said, it's not as bad as things like we got later in the 90s, like Spawn.
Yeah. Oh my God, I loved that movie when I was a kid. I watched it. Oh, not even 6 months ago, and I was like, "How did I love this?" So, it's second grade, it's just you don't question it, but I think from far away, there's that huge shot where it's Clark, or not, it's Clark and Sattler, and they're both seeing the kind of cluster of dinosaurs shrinking from the water. Is it not? Oh, yes, Clark, or is it Grant? Sorry, why am I saying Clark?
I'm like, who's Clark?
Why the hell am I saying Clark? Yeah, right. I don't know why I said Clark. God, fuck me. But yeah, when they're sitting down, they're seeing the dinosaurs from far away. It looks so good, because there's kind of like that, and it's the same thing I feel like with horror movies too. The less you show me, it's like you don't have to get so close up. It looks good, the CGI, I think, from far away. But you're right. This scene is where I feel like it doesn't hold up. But you kind of, like I said, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt, because it was just for the time being. Does it still look good? Like, yes, but we now, because of what we're kind of desensitized to, it's like it's kind of like what we've taken for granted. But at the time it was just groundbreaking, and it was fantastic. And it's like I said, it still looks good. So yeah, we're entering the kind of entering the park. There's the big skeleton of that is a T-Rex skeleton in the middle of the hanging up on all the wires and stuff.
The setting the stage for the final scene.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When they're first walking in, there's that line where like, now we're extinct. Because it's obviously who needs you now. We have a living breathing specimen.
Right.
But yeah, so they all sit down for the Jurassic Park like Funko ride thing. Like it's like kind of like the virtual roller coasters we had at the arcade when we were kids. You sit down and strap yourself in and just kind of spin around and stuff. Is what it reminded me of. But yeah, I think it's kind of cute. Richard Attenborough there just talking to himself, and he's trying to figure out his lines.
I've got a note. I've got a little note here. Okay, and it's not. I'm still on board with the magic of this movie. So don't kill me for being No, I'm not hating on this at all, but it's just weird. So is when the park does open and people are on this little ride here, is Hammond gonna be present at every single ride? Because
Right.
I mean, he kind of has to be, right? If this is unless he's programmed this little video just for these guys, like, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, you know what? If you're making dinosaurs, I bet you they have like 1,000 of Hammond AIs just somewhere in stock for when this happened. Because yeah, I've never thought about that right now until you just said it. That he's going to have to be there for every single one, and I guess maybe he's planning on that. He is. He does seem really, really, really into this. Because this definitely is his baby. Yeah, and I think that's one of the interesting things about Hammond as well. You know, he's just so wrapped up into it, and he's not a bad guy. You know, they could have.
There's no. That's also something worth noting too. There's no villain in this. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you wanted a villain, it would be probably Nedry of all people. But I mean, he's also.
Yeah.
He didn't intend to, like, you know, turn on. I mean, sorry. Shut all the gates down. He didn't intend for that to happen. It's just man versus nature. It literally is man versus nature. That's what the whole movie's about.
Yeah, and kind of like that whole chaos theory thing. It's just utter chaos. It's really, you know, let's throw you in here with these with something that's way worse than a man-eating lion and see how you hold up.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So yeah, this whole funny part with him getting the drop of the blood, I thought that was great. It actually looked pretty well. The timing of him stabbing himself in the So yeah, we get the multiple of the Hammonds up there, and you know, they're saying that it's, you know, basically saying kind of given a elementary kind of explanation for how they were able to do this. You know, basically they extracted the DNA from a mosquito that was in the amber and just kind of took it from that. I've got that right so far, right?
Yep. No, you're right. So essentially, the mosquito sucked the blood millions of years ago from the dinosaurs, and then, you know, it would often land on a tree and it would get crystallized in tree sap. And it'll be preserved in that tree sap, and then that's how they'd extract it from the mosquito.
Okay, cool, awesome. I was, you know, again, almost as a kid, you know, because I'm not one of those people. Even as an adult, you know, I don't sit down and like, oh, how would this exactly work, and blah blah blah. So you know, I'm definitely paying attention to this, but it's not just dire to the movie, right. You know, to understand. Somehow they've done this. We don't really care. We're here to look at.
Especially when the movie's done such a good job of like setting up the magic of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you're never really questioning whether or not this is feasible, because if it were, somebody probably would have done it by now.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, basically they're splicing in the DNA, and I think we find out later that it's been what they've been using frogs basically to
complete the sequence essentially.
Right, yeah, and that ultimately ends up being their downfall. Not to get too far ahead, but that's kind of the thing that ends up being their downfall. What does it say? The frogs can change sex. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So basically, that ends up happening a little bit later on in the movie, but it's important now. The reason why they're mentioning this right now, I love when they start. I love when they start rotating, and just all three of them get up and they're like, "No, what are they doing? Fuck this! We don't care. They
don't really care about the ride. They, as scientists, they want to know how the hell, you know, Hammond essentially played God."
Right, exactly. It's like the tourist part of this ride is over. Now it's time for us to get to the reason, like why we're here. Yeah. But yeah, it's fantastic to see them. You know, it's funny because a kid is just like, oh my god, yeah, dinosaurs, and as an adult, they're like, no, fuck that shit. How did you do this? You know, and it's immediately, you know, the question, because obviously, like you said, they're scientists, but yeah, it's it's fun to see Gennaro, the lawyer, kind of come around as well, because he's kind of comes off as a prick maybe a little bit at first, and he's, first thing he says when he sees the dinosaurs a scene or two ago is, "Oh God, we're gonna make so much money from this."
Yeah. Thinking like a lawyer.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we go into the lab where we've got Henry working on these eggs, and basically, so yeah, they've got these machines that are fertilizing the eggs and taking care of them and rotating them, and even when Grant picks that egg up and it just takes it right out of his hand, like immediately.
It's also so this guy Henry Wu is also in Jurassic World as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they bring him back, and he's kind of also a bit of a villain in that too. He's got a pretty big part, and I do love that continuity as well.
Yeah. Seeing someone who made an appearance, God, when did Jurassic World come out? 2016?
It's 15.
15. So yeah, 12 years later, making an appearance, like that's awesome. Or no. Would that be 22 years later? Actually, not 12 years.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah. Oh God, my age just slammed into me.
No, it's easy. It's easy. It's easy for me to add it together because 93 was the year I was born. So whenever we talk about,
hey, there you go.
Whenever we talk about a movie that kind of like goes through like that. That was like, oh, I wonder how much longer that was after. And I was like, okay, so I was 22 at that age. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, and to see Hammond there with all, he personally wants to be there when all of them hatch, because the first thing they see, I guess, they identify as like a somewhat maternal figure.
Right.
I believe they says.
Okay, and this comes back in Jurassic World as well. So he imprints on them. That's what he says. He imprints on them. So essentially, they kind of trust him, and this is when. You see this in Jurassic World with Chris Pratt's character. This is their explanation, and I kind of buy this explanation. So this is his explanation of why the raptors kind of trust him a little bit, because he's there when they're born and he imprints on them. So it really does tie back to this movie.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like to see that, like you said, that kind of continuity. That's awesome. So yeah, they're there watching the eggs hatch, and Henry explains that no unauthorized breeding in Jurassic Park. Basically, they're all females, and it seems like Malcolm is definitely the one curious with this. Well, how do you know they can't breed? How do you know that? Because they just they say they're all females, which I guess which is true. They think they are, but really, I mean. Life finds a way.
His speech patterns. I love his speech patterns, man. Like they're so good. Life finds a way.
Yeah, it's so great because he's almost. I kind of put him in that almost like Christopher Walken, quirky kind of like suave, like kind of thing. And it's great, just that kind of speaking pattern that he's got. He's just
fall into a bucket of cream.
He's like I love any kind of Jeff Goldblum impression or Christopher Walken impression or anything. But yeah, I think I think you've got a sound clip for this part actually. Do you still have that pulled up?
No. So little bit of a behind the scenes niggle here. That sound clip I'm gonna put at the start of this of like when we start covering this movie. So it's not gonna be here. It'll be at the start.
Well, never mind. We can always just edit this part out because I'm not a professional.
Oh, no. Hey, nothing gets edited out. Nothing. This is all raw. But yeah. So essentially the guys. The audience just saw how the sausage gets made.
Yeah, really. I love I love Grant's expression when they start talking about the breeding the raptors. You bred raptors. It's just immediately those are.
Yeah, he's always had a connection with the raptors. In all he's in 2 movies. Like he's not in The Lost World, but he's always had a connection to these 2 raptors. He's always like, raptors. He's like, you bred raptors.
Yeah, it's like they're almost like just these like the hyenas of this world, just fast and on you, and you're just done before you even know it.
And his reaction to raptors, like it adds so much to it, because when I was a kid, I mean, I always thought the scariest thing in this movie was the T-Rex. But watching this now and seeing like Grant's reaction, it's got to be the raptors, man. Like those things are devious.
Yeah, they're the T-Rex, you've got a minute because you're going to know, from half a mile away before it gets there. But those raptors are just, and so fast. I mean, even getting in a car, that's what they're built for. It's just long distance, just that running up on you. But I love that as Hammond is talking to Grant about what food's being prepared. They're lowering that poor cow into the feed. I'm watching it right now, and I tried so hard not to laugh because as it's being dropped, it's mooing, and in subtitle I've got the subtitles on. It says "mooing in fear" as it's being dropped. Like somehow they know.
There is so much animal sacrifice in this, like with the goat later.
It's just like it's just no problem for them. They're like, cows and goats. We have dinosaurs here. Like we're not worried about cows and goats.
Yeah. But yeah, this scene's awesome with Muldoon. And he's talking about how they attack the fences, systematically, like testing it. Like they wouldn't attack the same place twice. Like, dude, that is so badass. Like the way that these guys think. And they're so like intelligent. They're more intelligent than they expected. It's so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Their capacity to learn for critical thinking and working as a group. That's just because you're dealing with something that's just so unprecedented. These are even like with what Grant said, he's totally right. It's going to come straight at you as the other 2 hit from the side. But really, does anybody really like know that for 100% with the way that has anyone been around these animals to really be on the other end of that? I mean, obviously not, because I don't think you'd live to tell the tale. But to see the things in action that you've talked about that. You know how awful this would be, but you always rested easy at night knowing that this could never happen again. But now, I mean, that would be, man, that would, like, as a paleontologist, like your worst fear, realizing that this thing that, oh my God, like imagine these things being back.
Yeah, man. This was such a. What you just described there was why I had nightmares about this movie when I was a kid. Like I was like, oh no, the T-Rexes are gonna get me. But then, like, Mum and Dad would always say, they're not alive anymore, dude. Just go to sleep.
Yeah, no, actually, it was Chris Kennedy, who I mentioned at the top of the podcast. Same exact thing. He was, he was like, I wasn't afraid of monsters, and wasn't afraid of Freddy Krueger and the Boogeyman. I was just terrified of looking out my window and seeing this massive, just knowing, just as a kid, he just realized, those things were real. Like, oh my God, he had a very similar experience to what you're talking about.
Like we were not supposed to coexist.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, there's no way. But yeah, so we get kind of our introduction, our proper introduction of Robert Muldoon. He's our game warden from Kenya. But
with his nice shorts.
Yeah, right. And those like real high socks and those short shorts. Like is he supposed to be Australian, or is he just English?
I think it's British. I think it's British. I think it's a Craig Daly.
Oh yeah, our good friend from across the sea, Craig Dealey. I'm drinking my coffee. I thought about Craig because I'm drinking my coffee right now, and I think it's actually a cup that my girlfriend picked up in England. She's been to England and Europe, and it's London, England. It has a British flag all over it, and the Doctor Who phone booth. So I actually thought about Craig as I was getting my coffee. But yeah, I love Muldoon. As soon as he walks up, they should all be destroyed. Like
the first thing he says, it's like, why are you working here?
Yeah, and I mean, but yeah, exactly. Why are you? Yeah, but you gotta kind of, you gotta kind of, not. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't be taking what he says with a grain of salt. If that's the first thing this
Yeah,
guy says when he
exactly.
walks up, and I'm assuming this guy has hunted just about everything
Exactly.
known to man.
Like you'd take his word for it. I mean, because he looks and sounds experienced, right? I mean, like he definitely knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. So he says they'll be lethal at 8 months, and I do mean lethal. I've hunted most things that can hurt you. So I've hunted. Or no, what is it? What's their growth rate? They're lethal at 8 months, and I do mean lethal. I've hunted most things that can hurt you, but these things move fast for a biped, cheetah speed. So yeah, basically they're moving at about 50, 60 miles an hour. And they're getting better at jumping, and and Hammond tries to reassure them, oh no, we're taking all the precautions, and there's not any problems, blah blah blah. But Muldoon's, Muldoon's kind of countering that over there. Yeah, they're developing critical thinking and solving problem. But yeah, basically the big raptor, the one that we kind of saw at the beginning, he says that, the big one, we bred 8 originally, but when she came in, she took over the pride and killed all but 2.
Wow.
God
damn it, man.
I love that line, when she's looking at you, you can see she's working things out. Like, oh my God, that is absolutely terrifying.
It's
It's
scary.
just, what the brain to match, the brawn of that, it's
Right.
just,
Perfect killing machine.
It's right. Exactly. But yeah, and definitely, we're definitely getting the sense that, the Raptors, like you said, the T-Rex is definitely the selling point of this movie. It's definitely the big moment where you see, the visual effects is really striking, and that roar, it's just insane. But really, as a kid, you're blown away by the T-Rex, but as an adult, you're like, dude, the Raptors, like, I mean, there's more than one of those things. Like, oh my God. Yeah, I love they're wrapping things up, and they pull that, just totally decimated cow,
Absolutely
like, out the
destroyed.
whole thing shredded.
Not a drop of blood.
Yeah, nothing. And Hammond's, who's hungry?
Yeah, I know, who's hungry? And that perfect cut to dinner or lunch, whatever.
Yeah,
the hell
right.
It is.
It's how could you possibly possibly be hungry? So yeah, they're just kind of talking about the park, and at this point it really seems like the lawyer is kind of the only one that ends up being kind of the only ones that ends up being on his side about it.
I love that line. I love he's like the only one I've got on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer.
Yeah, right. And I love Jeff Goldblum's line. The lack of humility before nature that's being displayed here staggers me.
It's essentially the gist of the movie.
Right, absolutely, and that's I think I said earlier before when we've talked about this, I do have some reservations about this movie. There are some things that as we get to them, I'll want to talk about them, or later on when we wrap things up. But this whole part is I think one of the best parts about the movie, that these people aren't just blown away and do it, open and let's do it. They're like, no, there are ethical and moral repercussions to what you're talking about doing,
and that's why the lawyer's on board. Like, he's on board with it. He's just like, I don't give a shit. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to sign off on this shit. This is we're going to make so much money. We're going to be rich. He's like, oh, we'll have a coupon day. Like, Hammond's like, Hammond's like, this is not for the exclusively rich people. This is for everyone. And he's like, okay, we'll have a coupon day. Standard lawyer, standard procedure.
Yeah, he's such a immediately we'll have a coupon day. Yeah, like I couldn't even imagine what ticket prices would be in trying to get into this place if you didn't make 6 figures a year. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, Westworld was $40,000 a day.
God.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And I love the analogy that Goldblum uses here. Yeah, you're wielding this power like a kid who's found his dad's gun.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true.
So
that
true.
is, growing up in the South here, I can't tell you how many kids I hung out with that found their dad's gun and were like, oh yeah, and pointing it at each other and just doing stupid shit.
Growing up in Australia, I can tell you, I have no idea what that feels like. I mean, guns are illegal here, so.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. Here, I know plenty of people that would have an aneurysm if that happened.
I feel like this is a whole different podcast where we can talk about gun laws and all that shit.
Oh yeah, this is a whole other conversation. So yeah, there's that whole, you stood on the shoulders of geniuses to accomplish something as fast as you could, and before you even knew what you had, you patented it, you packaged it, and you slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. And
I love how he bangs on the table.
Yeah, it's so good. Get that emphasis across, and he's like, you stood on the shoulders of giants. You take, because you really put no work into it. You can take no responsibility for it, and I can definitely see, I can definitely see Malcolm's. This is, I can definitely see Malcolm's point, of talking about, and I think you said this too, with Hammond was like, if I were bringing back, this animal or that animal or whatever animal it was that he's talking about at first, he's like, I love what what Ian Malcolm says. He's like, this is not something that we wiped out. This is not, something that deforestation or global warming or, all of our plastic bottles in the sea, this is not, this is not something that was unfairly destroyed. Nature, and this is just nature. That's just the way that it went. Nature selected them for destruction. And I love it. What you call discovery, I call the rape of the natural world. And it's it's funny because like I said at the beginning, at first you're kind of standoffish with Ian Malcolm. He seems like he'd be kind of he'd be kind of an asshole, but right away, you just kind of fall in love with him because that's really a Goldblum scene. He just takes that and knocks it out, and that's some of the more memorable parts of the dialogue with this movie. And I was watching or reading an interview with Michael Crichton where he said he most kind of relates with Ian Malcolm, of this should not be something that's going on. Just because it's, again, you haven't thought about the repercussions of what should happen, and even Grant too, two evolutions that are 65 million years apart being slapped back together. What can we expect? We can't sit here and try and act like this is just not any big deal. And that's when Hammond's like, that's the only person on my side is a blood-sucking lawyer. Thank you.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, this whole scene has actually been is actually one of my favorites because it's just a great spot for dialogue, and
it's a great scene.
Right. And immediately after that, we've got Hammond's grandkids coming up. And it's like he seems like he would be the best grandfather ever. He seems like he would be. He already looks like Santa Claus to me. So it's like immediately kids, I'm sure, just flock to this guy. And he seems so nice.
This guy's these two are great as well. As far as child actors go, these guys really pull their weight. They play emotion well. They play fear very well. They play wonder very well. I've actually got a note about Lex, the girl. So she, let me just find it here. Okay, so to cast Hammond's granddaughter Lex, Spielberg auditioned a number of girls and asked them to record their screams. The actress who played Lex, Ariana Richards, recalled that she won the role because she was the only one whose tape scream was loud enough to awake a sleeping Kate Capshaw, who was Spielberg's wife, and also notably that terrible female character in Temple of Doom. She woke Kate Capshaw and sent her scurrying down the hall to see if her children were all right.
Damn,
that's crazy. And I can probably tell which scream it is. It's probably the one where later they're on the T-Rex assault, and like she gets up and she sees the T-Rex and she just yells her head off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that scream is blood curdling.
Crazy.
But yeah, so we get introduced to was it Lex and Tim?
Yes, Lex and Tim.
I believe Lex and Tim. And Tim, it's funny because I can see why Grant would not. I can see why Grant would not like this kid, but the kid right off the bat, he's kind of adorable. I read your book. It's like the first thing. He's obviously smitten to be around Grant. Grant could care fucking less. He wants nothing to do with this kid. That's a great kid. He walks off. Interesting note, actually. Looking at this. There's so much of it that I was like, man, I could see Harrison Ford doing this, and he was totally offered the role and totally turned it down.
Yeah,
and I was like, I knew it, man. I felt, that kind of, and honestly, and good on him for doing it, just because I think he would do great, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what this would have done for like Sam Neill's career. Because he's been in a few things that I like, but this is obviously the biggest thing I think he's ever been in.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Like Harrison Ford would have been great. I love Harrison Ford. Come on, man. He's Han Solo, he's Indiana Jones. He's definitely charming. He's got action chops. But there's something about Sam Neill that he's really instantly likable.
Right, yeah. Right off the bat, there's something about him, and I think it's kind of that that British American kind of vibe. I think
he's Australian.
He might be. Yeah, I was gonna say because I remember reading that he owned a house in New Zealand. I was like, I can't remember if he's Australian or English. I'm gonna leave anything Australian or English to you. You are my expert.
Yeah.
Anything from the south or having to do with guns, I will let you know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know what a gun.
Yeah, so he was born in the UK. He's got an English-born mother and he's got a New Zealand-born father. So he's Kiwi, he's New Zealand. So, he's been in a few Taika Waititi's movies, actually. The guy who directed Thor. He was actually in Thor Ragnarok, and he was in The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Okay. But yeah, so we've got Tim just kind of following Grant around, and I love, he'd follow. I'm not sure if it's all one take or not. That kid just following him through from one car to the other. And I think actually, a lot of it is just it's just one take from the time that Grant gets into the car.
See, this is what I'm saying. Spielberg does this a lot. These one take things. Like he does this in the poster really well. Like he just follows through rooms and stuff like that. And I think I'm not too sure if he used the same cinematographer, because he's got a favorite cinematographer that he always uses. His name's Janusz Kaminski. I can't remember if it's the same guy. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, I'll come back to you on that.
Yeah, I love that. Tim, which car are you planning on riding in? Whichever one you are. Yeah.
Sorry, it's Dean Cundy, so it's not the same guy.
Oh yeah.
But Dean Cundy's pretty good as well. He did Escape from New York. He did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Apollo 13. He's got a great resume.
Yeah, I actually just watched Roger Rabbit 3 or 4 days ago.
Great movie.
Yeah. I love it. And I love when Lex walks up, and he turns around, she's right there. She said we should go with you. It would be good for you.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that, and I love that look back to Sattler. She's just she's laughing.
Yeah, right. It's like you can't be mad at her. She's just she's just trying to get him used to kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, we cut to Muldoon and Hammond coming in. There's apparently a tropical storm on the way. We meet our man, Samuel L. Jackson. It'll get you drunk.
Chomping the cigarettes in this movie.
Yeah, man. Oh my God. Yeah, watching it now, and sometimes I watch those too, and I'm like, I wonder if he actually smokes. I wonder about actors having to do that. There's, I was actually just reading, like Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite, the actor that plays him is a vegetarian, so he's eating that steak and just spitting it into a napkin the whole time.
That's crazy.
I always wonder. Yeah, I always wonder, are you really, after a take, are you just flipping that cigarette out? God, get that thing out of my face. I know. I smoked a cigarette 15 minutes ago, and I could not sit there and chain smoke like him. I'm like, no, there's no way.
He just keeps on going, man.
Yeah, oh my God. But, so yeah, they're basically kind of setting us up, letting us know about this, about the storm that's going to be coming in, kind of like not really foreshadowing it, but there's a storm about 75 miles west of them. I love Hammond. Why didn't I build in Orlando? But yeah, they're keeping an eye on it. Going to see if it's going to swing south or not. But yeah, this definitely comes into play with our with our plot later on.
Again,
definitely.
It's nature. It's nature fucking shit up.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And it's, if it's literally the weather saying one thing, and then just these monsters saying another thing. It should, it's funny you say that, because that didn't even really click for me until just now. I'm like, yeah, it's literally hitting them from like both sides.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just stop.
Yeah.
Like, don't do this. But yeah, I see what you mean now. We're up to, we're those green Jeeps. I had one of those as a kid, as a toy. I definitely had one of those green, when they're on the tracks, and I love Lex when she sees the dash interface, which now, I mean, looks so archaic.
Oh, yeah.
It's a CD-ROM. Yeah. I'm like, oh my god, like
it's a 3.5-inch floppy disk.
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, just that great kind of first shot of them pulling in, and you see the Jurassic Park sign. I love that line. What do you think they got in there? King Kong?
Oh my god! I made a note to talk about that, actually. So before we kind of flew by it, there was the iconic line from Sam Jackson: "Hold on to your butts." That's in oh god, he says that in something else. Completely forgot. I think it might have been Deep Blue Sea, that terrible shark movie. Oh my god, which is great. We got to talk about that one day. That's such a great terrible movie.
Dude, I watched that like 8 months ago. I just put it on because I actually like Thomas Jane. I think Thomas Jane's a good actor.
He's good.
I don't think he ever got the break he really deserved. He kind of, missed in Punisher and Dreamcatcher and stuff. I own a couple of those movies, but he just, I don't know. It's a little tangent. I like Tom Jane.
Yeah, he's awesome. But like, and then at the gate, when Goldblum's like, "What do they got in there, King Kong?" So Ready Player One, directed by Spielberg, actually features King Kong in it, and features the dinosaur, the actual iconic T-Rex from this movie. So it's literally just a nerd fest, that movie.
Yeah, it seems like it. It really does. Yeah. Just from the trailer and stuff, but yeah, and I love. Later on too, I think you're talking about reusing lines. I don't want to get too far ahead, but obviously this line is very must go faster.
Oh yeah.
That line from Goldblum is reused by Roland Emmerich in Independence Day.
Oh.
He said he liked it so much he put it in there for when they're flying in the ship with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Which I remember that was a big deal when Independence Day came out. I remember seeing that in theaters. We'll have to talk about that someday too. But that's a pretty good. Another Goldblum, Bill Pullman and Randy Quaid. Oh yeah, we got to cover that bitch. But yeah. So
they pull up to the Dilophosaur.
Right, yeah, and basically nothing's really coming out.
No. This reminded me of Harry Potter, the first one, Philosopher's Stone. Have you seen Harry Potter? Do you dive into that?
Yeah, actually, I read like 4 or 5 of the books when I was younger, and then I never finished the series. My girlfriend's a huge Harry Potter fan. We've got all types of stuff here. She's got all the books, and we've got posters.
I'm a Harry Potter nerd, dude. Like I've read those books so many times.
Oh yeah, you and Lindsay will get along great. She's a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
She's got a wand and I mean all types of stuff. And it's great. I should go back and finish them. I really should. I'd have to restart them now because it's been 10 years. But the whole story is just great. It's fantastic.
So then, this reminded me of the first one because they rock up to the museum, to the zoo, and they're looking at the snake, and like the snake's there, but it's not moving. And then like Fat Dudley, the cousin, the shit show, is just like make it move.
Yeah. Oh god.
So good. But like
I
this
Dudley.
I know, but this reminded me of that pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically none of the sorry, what did you say the name of that of the smaller dinosaurs were again? I can never say it right.
The Dilophosaurus?
Yeah, Dilophosaurus, thank you. But yeah, so basically nothing's really coming out. they're just kind of MIA, which right away gives you a vibe. What the, like, why, like, where could they possibly be? Like, what is going on? And also gives you a vibe of these things are not this. To quote Nick Frost in Shaun of the Dead, I'm not a dancing monkey. It's like I'm not here to come out and tip my hat.
It all
and
adds to
point
it.
into it. Like,
it all adds to it.
Right. So yeah, then we cut back to Samuel. I can't even call him anything else. We cut to Samuel and Muldoon and Hammond. But basically, I believe they're just having some technical problems. What is it exactly? I think like the headlights aren't coming on,
right?
And the cars.
I've got a note here. So Samuel L. Jackson's like item 151 on today's glitch. 151. 150. Yeah. I don't know if he's exaggerating, but I mean, even if he is, that's a lot of glitches, dude. Like, surely don't open this park, right? If you've got that many glitches.
Right, and like he says, the computers aren't even on their feet yet. I love that. Dennis, our lives are in your hands, and you have butterfingers.
And then Dennis turns around, and like seriously, he just looks like a '90s like nerd slob. Like he's just so like completely like hysterically like a nerd, like a fat slob. It's also worth noting here in the background. There's he's playing Jaws on the computer.
Oh wow! Yeah. I'm watching it right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never.
I mean, for those who don't know, and you should know, Jaws was directed by Steven Spielberg as well.
Yeah. If you don't, get the fuck out.
Yeah. Please leave. Unsubscribe.
Yeah. And Brownie points to Hammond. I could not have the patience for Newman that or Needry or whatever that he does. I would just get off your ass, you fat slob. Like I would lose it on this guy.
But then like I love so they're arguing here, and then like Muldoon. Oh, I love Muldoon. He's like, hold on, they're entering the Tyrannosaur paddock. I love the way he says Tyrannosaur. Like I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, he really gets your attention.
He does.
Again,
he's so serious and he's awesome, dude.
Yeah, like whatever scares this guy should scare you, and if it's not scaring you, you're an idiot or you're already dead. Right. Like there's no way. I would hate to see what this guy's nightmares are made of. But yeah, so they pull up, and again, same thing with the previous kind of dinosaurs. There's nothing really going on. And this thing, and I hadn't seen this in a long time, and I totally forgot about this part. I figured they showed up, they did their song and dance, and then later that night they broke out. No such thing. They're not coming out, and they try to tempt it with that goat, and it just doesn't work.
I love Tim. He's like excellent.
Yeah,
so he's just like excellent.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard because I was like, okay, what the hell is going on? I couldn't quite wrap my head around that. But yeah, basically they're trying to bait it out there with that goat, and literally, I mean it has. Yeah, and I love Lex. What's going to happen to that goat? It's like, really? You can't figure this out by now?
And Ellen's like, Grant's like, the T-Rex, he wants to hunt. He can't just suppress 65 million years of gut instinct. And I'm gonna bring up good friend Chris Schrader from the Hey Do You Remember podcast.
Yeah,
that's not true. 65 million years of gut instinct. Chris brings up a great point. That's actually a mistake. So they've been dead for 65 million years. They haven't been alive for 65 million years for that gut instinct to exist, right? Like,
yeah,
they
right. It's not like it's been festering and advancing or anything. No, yeah, that's a good point.
Right. Exactly. So thank you for that point, Chris.
Yeah. So yeah, really, it's just kind of, you see Hammond, he's watching him on the cameras, and he's, he looks like a little kid who's just dropped his ice cream at a park. He's got his head in his hands and, on both of his cheeks, just watching their monitors. And you got Goldblum being Goldblum, It's just like, hey, are there supposed to be dinosaurs here? And I love Hammond. I hate that man. Just immediately.
Oh, I really hate that man.
but yeah, and we've got Goldblum going on, about the essence of chaos and talking about, what.
Oh my god, he tries to. I love
complex.
that he tries to make a move on Ellie. He's just like pulling on her hair.
Oh yeah, there's like I said the same thing. I was like, dude, this guy is like 10 minutes away from, which I mean, and that's funny in real life because he and Laura Dern were definitely together for a while. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's got his pants down in the back seat there already. Like, they're already down.
Yeah, right.
But like, I love. No, go on.
No. It's just it's just agreeing with you.
I love the dialogue here as well. I love that he's like, certain imperfections on the skin, and then she's like imperfections on the skin, and he's like, oh, just microscopic. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, he's so smooth. He's like, well, I mean, nothing that's really that important. And yeah, I love. And that's not, Muldoon brings up a really good point, about the locking mechanisms on the door.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, wait, they don't have locking mechanisms? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Like, why? Why don't they have locking mechanisms? Like, a kid's just gonna jump out in the middle of the paddock? What's going on? But yeah,
right,
I love when they jump out. Like, Goldblum's just sitting in there talking to himself. He's just like monologuing by himself.
Yeah, I love that too. Everybody's just hopped out of the car and just abandoned ship, and he's like, and I'm talking to myself.
Yeah. And then it cuts to Tim harassing the hell out of Grant, and then just before we have this amazing reveal, this is weird. I don't know if this was scripted, where Lex trips and Grant helps her up. It's so weird. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, that's really random.
Yeah, and it looks pretty genuine too. That's something that is like. I feel like if you tried, oh no, you have to make yourself trip, or you have to do this, you have to do that. It all it looks bad, but it just seems so natural. And his and I think it's great too. She falls and Grant's immediately there, to scoop her up. And it's kind of the first indication, of maybe some kind of like, hey, let me help you up. Yeah, I don't like kids, but whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, so they come across this. I can say this one, a Triceratops, I believe. I just remembered that from Power Rangers, honestly. So yeah, basically, she's been sick.
This awesome reveal through the grass, dude. I love it. I love this reveal. Like, you see Tim's legs just come through the clearing, like that shot.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked so good, and I love I love Grant. He's laying on the thing's stomach as it's breathing and like blowing him. He's like a little kid on a balloon, like it's blowing him up and deflating him and stuff.
Dude, the thing is so detailed, man. So this is Stan Winston, Phil Tippett, all those guys. This is an actual real life practical prop. And it is so detailed, man. Like the little creases and the cracks in the skin and on the horns and its eyes. Like it's so scarily like detailed. And I love Ellie just crying like as she like touches it. Like she's so good, man.
Yeah, she's great. And the practical effects, Stan Winston is the man, I believe. Did he do Terminator 2?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I think Predator, and I think Alien.
Pretty much everything. Yeah, he did Alien. Pretty much everything iconic that has great crazy effects.
Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. He did Monster Squad. I know that. And those are like, oh my god, that dominated my childhood. But yeah, basically, and she's this Triceratops. They don't know exactly what it is. It might be this West Indian lilac that Laura Dern is looking at, trying to figure out exactly what it is that she's that's making her sick. And it's not really. This never really.
It never really comes back. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's kind of odd because I thought maybe this would come back and have something to do with the other dinosaurs. Maybe it was going to come back and affect them, and maybe just the peaceful kind of friendly giants were going to get sick and die, and it was just going to leave room for all these other nasty kind of carnivores. But yeah, it never really comes back to it. It's just kind of odd. But yeah, and we cut to basically they're going to rummage through this dinosaur shit.
Dino droppings?
Yeah, dino droppings. So and basically, we're going over to Muldoon and Hammond, and he's saying the storm center hasn't dissipated or changed course. So we're gonna have to cut the tour short. Shit's starting to hit the fan. And Hammond the whole time, are you sure we have to? It's just he wants to hold on to that all the way until the end, and you can see it on his face. Damn, and he gets so mad when they cut the.
I love
when they
that.
get the
Dumb.
Yeah, and Jeff Goldblum. I love walking up on that. That is one big pile of shit.
I love the glasses come off, and he's like, "Now that is one big pile of shit."
Oh man, and her just digging through it like a kid in the mud, like ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of this really comes back into play. I thought maybe it would have something, but
and then we get the lawyer. Oh my god, I literally wrote. The lawyer is afraid of thunder. Fuck my life.
Yeah.
Like seriously, they're literally like painting this lawyer as such a shit show.
Yeah, he's so. Oh my god, he's just so.
He's like, I have to insist that we keep moving.
Yeah, he's just so terrified.
Yeah.
But so this storm's going to be coming in. Laura Dern says that she's staying behind. The guy's got a gas powered Jeep, and they're gonna ride with her. The storm's coming in.
So I've always thought this looked like stock footage. The waves crashing against the docks. It always looks so weird, man. Like it looks like they didn't shoot it for the movie. Like they just kind of pulled it out of somewhere.
Yeah, like some kind of just like B-roll of stock footage or something.
Yeah, that's right. And then we get so we're back to the control room, and Nedry's giving his excuse, and he's nervous as shit, man. He's like sweating he's sweating lakes, like like he looks so like disheveled.
Right. Yeah, and he's saying, guys saying, hey, I guess they're rushing things, they're not going scheduled according to plan, and yeah, they're basically he's trying to get off the island, and take those embryos with him, and I love, and Hammond too. He's like, our first tour, one was sick and there were no shows, and Samuel L. Jackson, he's like, this could have been a whole hell of a lot worse. And we get fucking Newman just like stammering around, and I was just gonna go get something for somebody, just go check this out in case you guys need anything. But if you guys don't need anything, he's just stammering over his own.
He's so good. I love Wayne Knight.
Yeah, they're like, dude, nobody fuking cares. Just get the hell out of here.
Also, the door security systems are shutting down here. And yeah, they completely, they should be a bit more nervous than they actually are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Especially with what's on that. Yeah. What's in this fucker with you. But yeah, old Newman. I like to think this is still just Newman, and it's it's just him fucking people over somewhere else. But yeah. So we got we got Ian Malcolm and Dr. Grant, sitting there drinking out of the flask and kind of kicking it a little bit.
She's not like available, is she?
Yeah. And I'm always on the lookout for the future Mrs. X Ian Malcolm.
That's so good.
Yeah, but yes. Remind me again exactly. Now, Nedry, he's stealing the embryos, getting them into this can, and he's, I guess, for a rival company of some sorts.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty much, in that way, it's pretty much like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, there's always, like, there's always rival companies that are trying to steal from what's, like, the king or something like that. So, Dodgson earlier offered him money to sneak embryos off the island, and essentially give it to his man who's down at the docks, and that's why Nedry's rushing, because this man at the docks is only going to be there for another 15 more minutes.
Right, yeah, and he needs at least 18 to 20 to, get these systems all in check. But like you said, it's like he never really, maybe he was trying to profit and steal a little bit, but he never meant to, because he's a huge part of this, with the doors and the locking mechanisms. Mm-hmm. He's a huge part of causing the problems that they, that end up occurring. But yeah, so we cut back to Goldblum and Sam Neill, and they've just stopped dead, which I would shit a fucking brick, dude. There's no way.
Yep.
I would start screaming. Oh man,
In the
like,
rain.
in the rain, yeah, and it's just black outside, and all the doors are like, I mean, they don't know that the doors are the security doors are locking down and stuff, and like, yeah,
But
that
I
part
love,
just.
No, go on.
No, just say yeah, that lack of concern. I just saw that park, and they're just like, oh yeah, whatever, no big deal. I'm like, fuck that, dude.
I know. But I love just Jeff Goldblum just out of nowhere. He's like, I'm not scared, and then Grant's like, I didn't say you were scared. Like,
Yeah,
good.
I totally missed that part. That is good.
And we went past I think we went past the part where so it gets a little muddled here because it keeps cutting back between the control room and the actual people. So I love Hammond. Check the vending machines. When they're looking for Nedry.
God. Yeah, that is, yes. I'm glad you mentioned that because I thought I didn't think it'd come yet, but yeah, that is. I'm glad we didn't blow past that. That is one of my favorite.
Check the vending machines.
Yeah. So yeah, they're trying to figure out why in the hell he's turning all of this stuff off, and of course Muldoon, are the Raptor gates down? Immediately that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse. I want this motherfucker. In my room. Muldoon. Yeah. And you got Nedry running that sign over to the East Dock, trying to figure out exactly where it goes, like just spinning it around and saying "fuck it."
Does this happen here? Is that here? I don't remember.
Yeah, because basically while because he leaves and says he's gonna go get this or gonna go get that or going to the vending machines or whatever, and they're trying to find him. He's jumped in that Jeep and he's gone through the front gate and
he's blasted through the doors, right? The big doors?
Right, yeah, just went straight through the front doors and he's that is just such a hilarious hilarious part. Him driving and knocking out that East Dock sign is just so good.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so next, we've got them trying to hack his console and the whole, Samuel Jackson just chugging that cigarette down to like the filter, like, oh my God.
I didn't say the magic word.
Yeah.
Please! I hate this hacker shit.
Especially hearing it from Samuel Jackson. I hate this hacker shit.
Oh,
it's so good.
Only him, right?
Yeah, and of course now, like any good movie that might be somewhat like, I'm not saying this is a horror movie, but the phones are out, so obviously, we've got to raise the stakes up a little bit. We cut back to that poor goat. That poor goat is still out there, sitting in the rain, just waiting to die. Like,
what a shitty existence!
Awful.
What a shitty existence, dude. These goggles, these night vision goggles, man, I always wanted these when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, dude. That's like I think I wrote that down in my notes here. I put down, I was like, dude, those goggles are awesome.
Yeah. And then so this is essentially the introduction of probably the most iconic scene from this movie.
Yes. Oh yes, absolutely.
So it starts off with the water in the cup. That amazing technique. I think. Okay, I can't fully remember, but I think they like the way they did it. They strummed a guitar near the cup, and that's how they got the rippling effect. But I was also thinking, how slow is the T-Rex walking? If like
right,
if it's so rhythmical, like, do you know what I mean?
Right, it must be like just like boom,
raising its leg.
Yeah, just really slow. Like its arms are so small, it has to like really let people know it's got good legs.
Yeah. So they hear the bass. They hear the bass of the T-Rex, and it's just so good. Like the tension. There's tension here, but there's no music. There's no score. It's just the sound. And then the next note I have is the lawyer, Gennaro. Maybe it's the power coming back on. What an idiot!
What planet are you from?
What? Like, what are you? God damn it! I can't stand this guy. I can't wait for his untimely demise.
Yeah, it's like, how are you a fucking lawyer? Like you're afraid of thunder. You think any loud noise is the power coming back on.
But man, I can tell you this scene. Like even like when I mentioned earlier, I rewatched it in 2013 when it re-released in 3D. And I'd seen this movie a million times by then, and god damn, it was still a perfect scene in the cinema. Like, it was just the tension of it, and it's just I remember this absolutely horrifying me when I was a kid. The way like the it's got its little arms over the cables.
Yeah. Where's the goat? And the the thing lands on top. Oh,
Damn it.
and it looks
Yeah,
it
where's
looks
the
so
goat?
it looks so good, and it's just just the practical effects, and keeping it in shadow, keeping that rain on it, definitely a smart move to go, even with the practical or the digital. The less is better, and it looks really good.
Right, exactly.
And of course,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right.
Oh, I was gonna say, of course, Gennaro, like an asshole, leaves the kids and runs and hides.
Yeah. And I love Alan and Ian's reaction. Where does he think he's going? And he's like,
Yeah.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Right. But yeah, and then the two of them, those wires ripping back, like, dude,
boy.
I know how this movie goes, and even as an adult seeing that, I was like, oh shit, I was like, this is not good. That's not supposed to be there.
Yeah. The sound. I remember every little sound here. I mean, the sound of that gate, that fence, just like kind of moving,
just giving up.
Yeah, the cable's just giving up, and then we get this wide shot of the thing just come through, and this is where the CG like really shines.
Right. I'm watching it right now. I got no complaints about it. Like I said, it looks great. It's hidden in shadow really well. Those imperfections are hidden so well. And poor Tim and Lex stuck in this car by themselves. Like, oh my God, I mean, she's the oldest. What is she, like 12, 13 maybe?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like, oh my God, 12 or 13. I just would have sat there and died.
I got a few things actually. So this T-Rex, because they built a practical one, a massive practical T-Rex, and it occasionally malfunctioned due to the rain.
Oh yeah.
So Kathleen Kennedy, big massive producer. I mean, she's in charge of Star Wars now. So she recalls, she's like, the T-Rex went into the heebie-jeebies. Went into the heebie-jeebies sometimes, scared the crap out of us. We'd be like eating lunch, and all of a sudden a T-Rex would come alive.
Yeah.
At first we didn't know what was happening, and then we realized it was the rain. You'd hear people start screaming, "Holy shit!" Can you imagine having lunch and then this thing coming alive?
Oh. No, dude, not at all. And like the shot of it when Lex has that light on and it comes right. I think one of the most iconic shots. Her shining it right in. Yeah, and the people
it's
just
dilating.
Oh man,
God damn it, man!
I have such a boner right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just the panic. As soon as Gennaro ditches that car, the panic is. I mean, the stakes are just through the roof. And because what are Grant and Malcolm going to do? They can't. What you can't. Maybe as a viewer, you go, get in there and help them, and it's like, yeah, I mean, and they do eventually, but you got to come up with some kind of plan. Like, there's just no way. But I love Tim. Tim immediately turn the light off. He's so good. And
struggling with it.
Yeah, and I think definitely a scene to make Grant proud. But yeah, just the terror of that thing, tossing their car back and forth and just flipping it over and trying to eat the tires off.
Before that, you've got the glass. So apparently that glass was not supposed to break.
Oh shit!
Yeah, dude. Like it's like the kids. The screams at some points are actually genuine.
Man,
because that thing was not supposed to break through that little glass that they have on the roof there. And God damn it, man, the fear. Can you imagine that? Even knowing that it's an animatronic.
Oh no, I could, dude. That's literally the shot of and as it's crushing down that Jeep on them and the mud starts coming in. It's like, oh, dude, I would have definitely had an adolescent heart attack. I would have lost it. There's no way I would have died.
The mud just like coming in.
Oh no way. And of course, then we've got Grant and Malcolm, doing their best to try to get these guys off of them, while Gennaro sits in the tiki hut bathroom and shits his pants. Yeah.
I actually so in the script it was written that the T-Rex escape, that during the T-Rex escape, Malcolm would just get out of the car and run away, much like Gennaro. So actually it's interesting because that's apparently how Malcolm behaves in the book. But when the time came to film the scene, though, it was actually Jeff Goldblum's idea to make the fight more heroic. by having him distract the T-Rex so Grant could save the children. And I
Yeah.
love that line, man. I love how he's like, "Get the kids," and he's like waving the flare.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it's a brilliant plan. I mean, except for the fact you get the shit smacked out of you. But, Grant is obviously the one who, because, I mean, Malcolm would be running, moving around. Grant's like, no, sit still, shut up, don't move, and I think it was the right plan because in that way, they let the expert deal with what this thing is. He knows not to move, not to deal with this. You're a chaos theory scientist. Just, go and be a distraction for us real quick.
Right.
And yeah, Tim's still in the car, and that thing's just flipping it like it's a frisbee, and they're having a dance around it, and the feeling of that thing pushing you off the edge, and it's getting closer and closer.
Before that happens, we're going to talk about the lawyer.
Oh yeah, sorry, we skipped a complete.
He's sitting on the shitter. So after Malcolm gets destroyed, that thing just absolutely rips through the toilet, and all of the walls just fall away
at once.
Like, he's just sitting there in the most vulnerable state. Like, can you imagine chucking his shit and then I mean, I know he's not actually doing it, but like. Can you imagine just chucking his shit and all the walls fall away and a massive T-Rex is standing in front of you? Like, goddamn.
Well, I could, but I don't actually shit, so I wouldn't know. But no, I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, no, you're like what? What was it? I think it was it in Game of Thrones when? No, sorry, I'm thinking of the interview, the one with Kim Jong Un when they're like, "Oh, you're telling me my man doesn't pee or poo?" It's he's created like this thing. But anyway, so I love that like the lawyer's just got his hands up, just kind of like, oh god damn it, I'm fucked, aren't I?
Yeah,
and this thing just stares at him.
Yeah, I love that. Like the one guy who was all for this is really one of the only people that gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really the people that we don't like are getting devoured in this. Everybody gets their just desserts. But
Right.
So yeah, we've got Grant and we've got Lex, and they're kind of just, don't mind us just free scaling down this wall while you choke me to death because you're hanging by my neck. But yeah, just the tension of them swinging to that wire as that car comes down. It's like, oh my God, just get over there. Like, for the love of God, grab that fucking wire.
Yeah, man, it's so good, and it's also like there's no music in this scene at all. Like, there's nothing. If it was today's movies, like we'd get like a big bombastic score, but like that doesn't happen. Like, it's all sound effects, it's all rain, it's just the sound of the T-Rex, like the roar. We didn't talk about the roar, man. Like the way that thing just sounds, dude. Like, god damn it. But then, yeah, essentially, like, you see the Jeep just come crashing down past them. It crashes into the trees, and, like, he grabs the cable, and the T-Rex just roars, and it cuts to the control room.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it cuts to the control room, and I love this. So this is essentially Hammond asking Muldoon to go rescue the kids, take a gas-powered Jeep and go rescue the kids. And Ellie just says, "I'm going with you." And I wrote a note here. So this is one of the reasons I stopped watching The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead would always pretty much always have this thing where like a character says, "Okay, I'm gonna go out and do this," and then like another character says, "Okay, I'm coming with you," and then the first character turns around and says, "No, it's too dangerous," and they'd get into this massive argument. And
Right.
I hate that kind of shit. And Muldoon just nods. Muldoon's just like, "Yep." Yeah, like,
yeah, damn right you're coming with me. Like, I need some backup.
Talk about strong female empowered characters before like we have this movement that's going on today. Do you know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, just to see her just step up, there's no argument, there's no question. She's like, I'm going, there's just no question about it, and I think she's got, and not just because she's a woman, like she feels some kind of attachment to these kids. She wants kids someday. I think she feels, not a huge attachment, but, that guy, he's going to need help. It can't just be Muldoon out there with a spaz shotgun, taking out.
Spaz, yeah. He's got the Spaz 12.
Yeah. God, I used that gun so much in the first Call of Duty Black Ops. Oh my God! But
second Call of Duty, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 for me, man.
Nice. But yeah, so we've got Nidri, and we see Nidri just flying through that, pumping his brakes and just eat shit through that thing, and Rex, and trying to get his car out of the, stuck on that branch right before that right before that kind of like small waterfall, and he just eats shit sliding down it. It's like, oh my god, like I would have had
If
such
you listen
fun.
if you listen carefully, there's an actual like sound when he slips, like a slipping noise.
Yeah.
Did you know that? it's so
Oh yeah.
it's like a comedic like slip and fall sound. Like,
Oh yeah.
listen to it again. It's hilarious.
And I love he sees the dinosaur and he's like, "That's nice. It's time to go." He just turns around and starts heading back to the car.
He's like,
And
I
of
thought
course-
you were, yeah. He's like, I thought you were one of your big brothers.
Yeah. And of course, yeah, we should also mention he's blind. You know, just glasses have gone flying off, and it's raining, and you know, and he's a piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. What do you want? You want a little food? Look at me. I just fell down a hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was definitely one of the you know, and he's trying to play fetch with it, throwing it the stick and
stupid.
stuff.
Get
and-
the stick.
Yeah, right. It's like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna run you over.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
but
gonna
I-
run you over when I come back down.
Yeah. But I really love this. Is just one of those deaths in cinema that you love to watch. You really do.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, it's not quite watching Boggs Diamond and Shawshank Redemption get killed by that guard, but this is up there. Like, it's great seeing him just get spit on that hot tar. Like, oh my god.
So
Which I
yeah,
think-
apparently this dinosaur was kind of half made up.
Yeah.
the frills weren't real, and I don't think it actually spat things.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yeah, it's one of the only things I think that's a little inaccurate about this movie. You know, and you're not going to get everything right, every single little thing, but
Mhm.
yeah. and
But
then
also,
he
you
loses-
gotta. I mean, you gotta realize that. I mean, you gotta make things more exciting for a movie, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even with movies that are based on real events that people are alive for now, you know, they dramatize them a little bit. They change things. They take liberties with the real story because it's, you know, we just don't have the time to sit there for months on end and watch a story unfold.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he loses the Barbasol can in the mud, and you know,
It just gets covered. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
just
covered
gets sucked
in
down.
mud.
And yeah, and he's trying to drive that Jeep away, and that thing just, oh, I love that, fans up and just you know, takes a big bite out of his ass. So yeah, and then
That
we
thing
can
would
go-
have went to town, man. There's a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of there's a lot of made on Newman.
Right, yeah. But yeah, so we cut back to Dr. Grant with the kids, and you know, Lex is afraid. You know, she's like, because Grant's saying, you know, wait right here. She's like, no, you know, that's you know, the Gennaro, he just ran out and left us. He's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to leave you. And it's great seeing a character who doesn't
Oh yeah.
want kids and didn't really want anything to do with these kids be the only person who can save them now. You know, then. Being the only person that can really, you know, he's scaling a wall with that girl on his back, and he's climbing a tree, you know, and he doesn't even like kids, you know, but it really shows you, you know, the testament of this character and kind of his arc, you know, the feeling of being, you know, being able to save these kids, and the feeling of
Right.
of a child's unconditional love towards you, just like, oh my God, like, thank you so much, you know, and I think it's really interesting. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have climbed that fucking tree. I would have been like, wait till that car comes down a little bit. You'll hit some branches on the way down. It'll stop you. I'm afraid of heights.
you might
though. No
survive.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes up and rescues Tim anyway. I mean, like a hero, like he's awesome. But this scene, man, I love this scene. I love this scene because like it doesn't like there's nothing attacking them. It's just literally we're in danger. We're gonna survive. We've got to fight. We've got to fight. Just gravity. Like, you know, there's nothing attacking us.
Right. Yeah, that was one of my notes. It's like, you would have been dead as shit. That car is moving so much faster than the two of you. Like, you would have been dead as shit. And I love Tim. He's like, I threw up. He's like, Tim, I won't tell anybody, but you got to get out of the car, buddy. Like, come on. Like, I love that, you know, and he plays such a good little kid. Like, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I don't want to move, you know, it's great. And after
And
he
it's
saves
so-
Tim, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's so tense, man. Like the way, like he's like with the wheel turning. Oh god.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, oh, don't grab that, you idiot kid. Do not. But yeah, so we cut back to Muldoon and Sattler. So they were at the T-Rex, what used to be the T-Rex cage or fence, if you want to call it that. I love her first line. I think this was Gennaro, and then it cuts to Muldoon. I think this was too. You know, he's got like another piece
He's
of
in
him over here.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. But yeah, like I said, if the fence is down, it can wander and just paddock anywhere, just take anywhere it wants. It's really, it's the king of the fucking jungle here. There's, except for maybe the raptors, like you said, but really it's the T-Rex who everybody's got to, he's the king of the jungle. You gotta give it up to him. But, yeah, they find Malcolm, he's smart enough to put a tourniquet on, and, I love, they're like, is there, they hear is it the T-Rex in the background they hear? They're like, can we move him? And he pops out and he's like, yes, take the chance. Please move me.
Yeah, man. And like, this is great. Like, just, this isn't the sequence where they get chased, is it? Or do they come back?
I think she sees the car down there. She sees the car that Tim and Grant ran. She goes down and checks it out, and I think right after that it cuts back to Malcolm, and he's sitting in the Jeep, and that's when you get him
he's talking to himself as usual.
Yeah, and he looks down in that T-Rex print in the ground and sees the water, and it looks so good. I'm watching it right now when it focuses on the foot and then it focuses on the reflection of Goldblum in the water.
I've
and
always
it's like,
loved that.
oh yeah, that's great. It's fantastic. Yeah,
and I love this. I love the way this is staged. Like he's just like, come on.
Yeah,
he's like the music.
Yeah, he's like, I'm alarmed now.
Yeah, there's like urgency in the music too, and then like without warning, man, that thing just comes from behind them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, and it's totally just no light. Got all the trees for cover, and then there's that line. I don't want to move past it. Must go faster.
Must go faster. And this is aped in a lot of shit, man. Like, have you seen? This is in Toy Story 2. This is like they're in the department store, and like there's I think it's they're being driven by Barbie, and like something's chasing them, and like in the rearview mirror, it's like. It's got that thing where it's like things in rear view or things in mirror closer than whatever. And like, oh, they're being chased by Rex in that movie too. Like, the Rex, the dinosaur. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And he's like roaring behind it, but like it's so great. Like this scene's great, and like I love Ellie here. She's like shit.
Oh,
shit.
Dude, her scream when she looks back and sees how close it is. That is so believable. It is so great, and I love when they escape. It cuts to Muldoon, and he actually smiles. He cracks like a small smile. Yeah. It's like the only time you see him not like grimacing over just.
He loves it. He loves the thrill. He loves the thrill of the chase, man. Like you can tell. It's so good.
Yeah, I kind of wish this wasn't his only movie. I kind of wish that they'd kept, because he's definitely an interesting character. Just sure. not saying I need a Muldoon standalone movie, but. So yeah, we're
Careful.
cut back. We cut back to Grant with Grant with the kids, and they're climbing up the tree. Again, Grant, this is the best person to be surviving in these situations. He knows all about these creatures. He knows their habits and knows exactly where he can't go and where he can. And these kids are just so dependent on him. And it's a really beautiful scene. Them feeding the I'm not even going to try to butcher the name. The herbivores.
Brontosaurus.
Thank you so much. I'm not as I haven't watched it. I haven't even looked at anything dinosaur related in years. I would butcher these names. But yeah, I love Grant, and he's doing the call, and this guy would be great. This is like someone you see at Adventure Science Center or like the zoo. This guy would just be so fantastic to be around.
This is a beautiful scene as well, man. I love the way like you see in the background. It's obviously a green screen, but like the way they're just kind of like all raise their heads and shit, and they're just in the background. I like. This, like, visually, it's so good, and I love the practical one just coming up so close, and they're trying to pet it, and it sneezes on Lex.
yeah, and it looks great. Like we were talking about the CGI, when you're panned back, it looks so much better. It really does. And it's dark, it's far away. It looks really good. And really, I'm going to go out and say that the only thing that doesn't stand up in this movie are those first opening scenes, like what you said. It's not. That's really about it. And other than that, it looks fantastic. And anybody who argues with me is obviously a communist. No, I'm just...
Mother Russia.
Yeah, and we got Grant throwing away the raptor thing, and I guess now that he's come so close to these things, maybe he doesn't feel the need for it anymore. He's like, I don't need this thing. I've seen these things firsthand now.
Yeah.
And we got that I love it. What do you call a blind dinosaur? Do you think he saw us?
I love these jokes. These very like either really young or really old dad joke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are definitely these are definitely the kind of jokes my dad would have told me when I was a kid.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. What happened? You know, are you gonna stay up? Yeah, all night. All night? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'll stay up with you. And it's a great way to end that scene. You know, of him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. But yeah, they're cutting across all the merch and stuff. The next scene, we're going to Hammond eating ice cream by himself, just so depressed, and you got to kind of feel for the guy a little bit. He's not a bad guy. He just, he's just like almost like a bull in a china shop in a way. He was just, so busy on, kicking and bucking, you didn't really think of what was around you and how that was going to affect things. And, I think, and he's so likable, he's just so, the way he pronounces things, to get back on schedule. I mean, schedule,
on schedule.
Yeah. I love the way he talks. And this is a great scene from Sattler. She, in obviously, obviously Hammond is concerned. It's his grandkids. But he's obviously concerned, but Sattler here, she really, I don't know, nobody's really, I'm not saying nobody stood up to Hammond. They've all told him what they thought of the park, but she really kind of gives it to him, after he's done talking about this flea circus and, basically, and it's kind of, I guess it's kind of an allegory for, for what is, it's almost like foreshadowing what is going to come. His little flea, his little flea trapeze when he was a kid, wanting to recapture that as an adult, because it just gets so much harder to recapture that magic you feel as a kid. And I think that's what he's going for, and he can't, ultimately doesn't end up happening, but, the guy tried and he came really close, and it's kind of sad to see him feeling this way, but at the same time, you kind of got to be like, dude, what did you expect?
Absolutely, dude. This is my favorite scene with, like, for both of them, to be honest. This is so, it's heartbreaking for him, but it's also, like, great seeing him, like, realize what's actually happening.
Yeah, exactly. She says it great. You can't think through this one, John. You got to feel it. And immediately he's going, hiring Nijiri was a mistake. We're over dependent on automation. Next time, everything's correctable. And she's, dude.
Yeah, next time.
Right. It's like, dude, this is not, that's like a gambling addict. It's like, no, next time I'll just go back and do everything right. And I'll, do this and do that. She's like, it's still a flea circus, it's like, that's the illusion. You think you have control. He thinks he has control over this. And it's, it's,
right. You can't go back to the slot machines once you've lost your wife and kids in your house.
Right. Exactly. And, when people are being killed and people are being eaten, and that's, God, that's 3 or 4 people dead in a span of a couple of days here, and it's just, oh my God. And the fact that he still can't see that, and it's kind of mind blowing that you can, but he's just so wrapped up in the grandeur of what he's doing, just how the majestic part of it. She's just so wrapped up in it. And she breaks down and she starts crying and immediately, reaches for that ice cream and takes a bite. It's good. She's
great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. Spared no expense. It's like the 3rd or 4th time he says that. But yeah, we cut back to Grant and the kids waking up in the tree. And yeah, that, like you said, that live, that real, what did you say? It's a Brontosaurus?
Brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, disclaimer here at Midnight Double Feature, we're
not experts in anything. Anything.
Right, yeah, we are not experts on anything. That should be our motto. I gotta find a way to get bumper stickers made of that.
Get that shit out, yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny that Lex is terrified of the vegetarian dinosaur, and she specifically states that she's a vegetarian earlier in the movie. Like, she's afraid of it, even after Grant's like, dude, it's not gonna eat you, like, chill out. But yeah, him feeding it and stuff, and the kids are just, I think this is the part you're talking about where it sneezes on her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
God.
Yeah,
sorry, it sneezes on her when they wake up. Fuck.
Yeah, no, but yeah, that's she's in the one time she's actually kind of like, hey, come here, I'll touch you, and it just Just like fire
The
hoses.
first time she actually embraces these things and like they're not dangerous. I'm not scared of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And Tim, God bless you.
Yeah.
And this is where we find out that Lex is a quote unquote hacker, which God knows what that means in 1993. But that's where we find Grant with the eggs right after she says that. And he is like, oh my God, do you know what this is? It's a dinosaur egg, and it's, just to see those out in the park or like, okay, that's not good. Something is wrong. These are obviously not supposed to be here.
They're breeding.
Right. Yeah. They're breeding. And that's, and he's talking about the amphibian DNA. And basically explaining to the kids, the film said they used the frog DNA to fill in the gene sequences, and they mutated the dinosaur genetic code, and blended it with that of frogs. So basically, he's filling the kids in with this and letting them know that the that the West African frog can actually change its sex to fit its environment. And I love this. Malcolm was right. Life finds a way. That's fantastic. And if I'm not, and after that scene, we cut to I will say, one of the oddest shots of the whole movie, but now it's become infamous. You know what I'm about to talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
This shot of open shirt, like this looks like the beginning shots of like a really good porno. Like it's got a real good budget and cast, and but God, he just looks he looks like a tiger or like a panther.
He's all oiled up. He's oiled up and shit.
He's so majestic looking, and I always saw that picture, on the internet or like as a meme or whatever, but I never, I was like, oh my God, that's what it's from. And he looks so ridiculous, but at the same time, I wouldn't have personally done that shot because I couldn't have made it. I would have started dying laughing.
I don't know how Spielberg and shit took this shit seriously.
Yeah.
Like this shot is so gratuitous. It's like he's got his legs like all weirded out and like just his like hands. It's so fucking good.
It looks so
funny.
Yeah. But yeah, Hammett's going on about how Nidri is obviously not coming back. We're going to need to shut down the system. Theoretically, yes, we've never shut down an entire system before. It may not come back on. So basically, somebody's going to have to go and flip the breakers, I believe. Is that, or am I getting too far ahead of myself? There's
No.
Okay, yeah, the lysine contingency prevents the spread of animals if they ever got off the island. Wu inserted a gene that creates a faulty enzyme. The animals can't manufacture the amino acid lysine. Unless they're supplied by lysine by us, they slip into a coma and die. And, it's the one time Hammond's like, people are dying. Like, do it. I don't care about this anymore. Will you please shut the system down? And it's great.
So
That's
good.
a character arc, man. It's like, it's so
man.
good. Seeing him after that scene with Ellie, I think it really kind of, cleaned his clock and checked the system. Like, yeah, I need to get a hold of this because I am rapidly losing control if I ever even had it. But yeah, it's great. Just all the shots of the lights going down and then being in the dark. And he's still, the insane. Yeah, and he says it again. Yeah, hold on to your butts. And just God, this guy must have. I would love to see Samuel L. Jackson smoking a cigarette, and they kind of pan out, and there's a pallet of like cartons of cigarettes, just like an ash bucket just filled to the brim with like butts.
Have you seen Scary Movie 3?
Oh yeah, I saw it in theaters. Yeah.
What when they're doing the Matrix and like the Oracle is just smoking, and she just like opens the drawers and there's just full of like cigarette butts.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I remember seeing that in theaters when I was like 12 or 13. Yeah, that was so funny. But yeah, basically they're flipping all the breakers on, and am I right? Correct. Walk me through what we're going through here because you know this a little bit better than I do. I don't want to misspeak or anything.
So we're talking about where they're flipping the breakers, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So at the same time, it's cut in between Ellen and the kids arriving at this electric fence, and essentially they have to get over this electric fence because they can't go through. And we get this hilarious this dad joke of him like grabbing the metal bars, the cables, and like just fake fake electrocuting himself.
Yeah.
And the kids' reactions is great, and then his reaction is awesome too. But essentially, they start climbing over, and as Ellie starts flipping the breakers, it like pans down, and what's it say? Outer perimeter or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and she's doing it over the walkie-talkie. He's like, you have to. Sorry, Hammond's guiding her, but like she starts switching through them, and then like it's really tense.
Yeah.
So Lex,
I don't want to go past the line that they say about Pirates of the Caribbean. That is so great. He's like, yeah, John, when the Pirates of the Caribbean shuts down, they don't gum off and start attacking people.
Yeah,
that's
so good, dude. I love that, man.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Now go on.
No, I was to say, it's about where we are, and Hammond's having to walk her through with the blueprints. And you've got Sexy Goldblum out of commission over there on the side. I wish if there was like a Street Fighter character pick, I wish I could be like Sexy Goldblum.
Did we mention how? Because Samuel L. Jackson was there before, right? Like he got sent over earlier.
Sorry,
and they hadn't heard from him.
Yeah, you're right. We blew right past that. They send him to flip the breakers at first, and he's not getting back to him. And because it's a Samuel L. Jackson 90s movie, of course he's dead as fuck.
That's a great moment, by the way. But anyway, like she's flipping the breakers, and then like Lex on the other side of the park, Lex and Alan have already just like got off the fence. Mm-hmm. But Tim's up there. Tim's stuck because it's pretty damn high. But he's already like kind of reached over. And then Alan's like, just jump, I'll catch you, jump and I'll catch you. Which, by the way, Grant's standing pretty far away. He, like, I don't know what kind of like strength Tim has to push off that fence and land that far.
Yeah,
but he's pretty far away. But so essentially, Alan's just kind of like yelling at him to jump because the klaxons, the alarms have come on,
right?
Because like I said, Ellie's starting to flip the switches.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets to her. She flips it, and Tim gets electrocuted. Tim blasts off the fence, and it lands in Alan's arms. And it's pretty damn good. It's pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think we might have skipped past Muldoon getting Sattler to the because I think Muldoon has unfortunately he's been killed off at this point.
Oh really? Is this where he dies?
I think so because I'm watching it right now and she flips the breakers and and she sends old Timmy boy flying and she escapes, and when she makes it out when Sattler makes it out of the control room. No, actually, I'm wrong. No, I'm looking at Muldoon right now. It's after this.
Yeah.
I'm way. See, you're not even watching it. I'm watching it right now. You already know more about this movie than me.
Because Muldoon, she sprints out.
Right.
And then so Muldoon's just like setting up his shotgun, which by the way, I don't know why he didn't do that before. Like he sets up the stock.
Yeah.
And it takes him so long to set up the stock, and I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? But he forgets his own advice because while he's hunting the one ahead of him, the one from the left just appears through the grass, and it just looks at him, and he's like, oh, I love this line. He's like, clever girl.
Yeah, exactly. And you would, it's seeing the hunter being taken over like that, and that practical one coming up on him looks so good. It looks fantastic.
So good. But he gets destroyed. He gets ripped apart. That shot of I really like that shot of the snake and just the other one just kind of looking at him like through the snake.
Yeah, just chilling die bitch, just kind of watching him from the sidelines. We cut back to Grant giving Tim CPR, which I'm not sure how that's effective in a 10,000 volt electrocution, but hey, whatever, that's fine. I'm not a doctor. Again, we are experts on nothing here. But yeah,
hey man, it might bring you back to life.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, hell, who knows? But yeah, they make it back to basically, I guess this is the lobby of Jurassic Park. The main entrance, and the kids see all the food and just start smashing that food. They're probably so hungry and like terrified. Um, but yeah, and we are reunited with Sattler and Grant are reunited shortly after that. She comes running up right after Tim is about to double fist. He's got like 2 spatulas in his hand, about to dig into these pies and stuff. And poor kid, he deserves it. But she's reunited with Grant as the kids are just smashing down these desserts. Unfortunately, their fun is cut a little bit short by what I think you and I agree on is the real threat of this movie. Like, oh my God,
boy,
like close quarters, you couldn't get away from it. Long distance running, you wouldn't get away from it. Like, there's just no way it would. Oh man.
The predator to end all predators, dude. Like this,
right.
This thing is a monster. This is like equivalent to the alien in Ridley Scott's Alien. Like this,
right.
These things are horrifying.
Yeah, I totally agree with that analogy. Yeah, that's great. And you see its eye looking in, and it kind of squints a little bit. Like there's a lot of personality in the face of this thing. And yeah, the kids.
So they run into the kitchen.
Right, yeah, the kids run in the kitchen. They're hiding from it, and this thing is kind of scoping them out, breathing on the door, and just my God,
I love that shot of it breathing on the glass, like, and like you see the glass like fog up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we cut back just a real quick scene of Grant with Sattler, and he's like, it's just the 2 raptors, right? You're sure the third one's contained? Yes, unless they figure out a way how to open doors. And of course, I knew it before I even saw it. It cuts to that door handle opening up, and it's like, oh my God.
Beautiful.
But yeah, absolutely terrifying. Something that can move like that can open up doors. And the shot of the hand, oh my God, the hand is just. It looks so just like not even like it's a monster or whatever. Like straight up looks horror movie. Like it's such a good shot. But yeah, I think this is one of the more. I don't think this scene gets enough credit in the movie.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't.
Right. It's. I think it's one of the most iconic ones. It's like. I don't know. I liken it almost to when John Connor, bumps into Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2, and he's like, "Get down!" And then they immediately start that whole mall scene. This is
man. And I can only imagine how hard it was like to shoot this scene because I mean everything in this whole kitchen is reflective.
Yeah.
So
good point.
Can you imagine having lights and cameras in there?
Yeah. Oh my God. Like I can speak just from doing the one short film I shot with a friend of mine named Matt Prater. But oh my God, like just the pain that would go into shooting around all of the steel and just reflective, like, oh my God. Because I work at a kitchen and they look like that. It is all stainless steel reflective stuff, and it's definitely very true to how it would really look. But yeah, just basically them playing this really, really insane game of cat and mouse with these raptors. And I love seeing, right when they start to move, they're making their way around that corner. Tim just barely makes it around that corner for that T-Rex before that raptor just sticks its head out. Like, oh man, seconds away from being found out. And of course, what happens?
The tension here, man.
Yeah,
so
and
tense.
It's so
the ladle
thick.
falls.
Yes, dude. The ladle. Like, oh my God, that's like the tip of the iceberg for me. It just drives me nuts. But yeah, and then I love Tim. Tim just stops. And he's like, I just petrified. I guess he's just he's a little kid. He's probably frozen with fear. I know I would have been, however old he was, especially after surviving a 10,000 volt shock. Like, oh my God. But this next part coming up is great when Lex leads them away, and she's trying to shut that door, and it pulls such a. For me, not having seen it in a long time, I didn't see this coming, where it pulls the switcheroo, where basically what we see is her reflection in the...
Yeah, she's pulling the thing down.
Oh,
the dumbwaiter? Is it dumbwaiter?
So,
no, it's just a cupboard.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's still fantastic. That totally caught me off guard, and I was like, oh, clever girl. But yeah, Tim makes this dash for the walk-in freezer. Ironically, this thing that he's running into is what I slipped and fell and dislocated my knee in about 6 or 7 weeks ago. So
I can
tell you, they're slick as shit. They really are. They can get that way.
Well, so it looks like we are experts on something here at Midnight Double Feature.
Yeah, we're experts on restaurants and dislocating our knees. But yeah, I love Tim. Trips that thing up. Kind of uses the momentum against it. That's really smart, and trips that raptor in the walk-in. I think that's great. It's so smart on his end. And of course they're reunited with Grant and Sattler, and they're like, I like this because it almost seems like Grant would go in there with the shotgun and be like, yeah, let me at him, but he's like, let's get the hell out of here, while they're still in there, let's just leave. That whole, oh my God, like, we need to get the door locked, and he's looking down at the lock, and when he pulls back up, the raptor is right there at the glass trying to get in, and does kind of knocks him back a little bit and gives him a bit of a shrug.
That thing, man, like, seriously, this is a good way to show how powerful these things are. Like, you've got Ellie and Grant pushing up against the door, and only one of these things is like still winning. It's beating them out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
and, yeah. So Sattler's like trying to go for the shotgun, yeah, man, and like this is where Lex is like kind of working her hacker magic, and she's like, "It's a Unix system," and I'm just like, "What? I'm like, what is this?"
Yeah, and like the graphics, it looks like 3D Flight Simulator we played when we were kids. Like,
it
oh my
looks
God.
like a video game. It looks like a video game.
Yeah, I personally, I would have just let the raptor in and unloaded on that shotgun. Like, just stick it in between the door and blow that thing's head off. Like
Yeah, I don't know if I would have taken the risk, man. These things are so unpredictable.
That's true. I say that because I've played way too many Nazi zombies in Call of Duty.
Me too.
Yeah,
Turok, dude. Remember Turok back in the day?
Oh, dude, yeah, I had that on N64. Yeah, I love Turok. Made no sense. There's like no plot line to it, but whatever. It's still really cool. It's badass. So yeah, they managed to get the door locked, and they call Dr. Hammond, and I love Hammond sitting there taking care of sexy Goldblum. And the phone goes off, and Hammond right away is, Grant, Mr. Hammond, the phones are working. That's such a good line. Of course, first thing he's asking about the kids. Want to make sure that the kids are all right. Tell them to send the damn helicopters. And we've got the, and that's really, God, when he starts firing off that gun at the raptors, Hammond's, oh my God, Hammond's scream is so believable.
So good, man.
Yeah, it's great. It's really fantastic. But yeah, so they basically just drop the shotgun and run, which is probably smarter anyways. Like, don't try to.
I love that shot with the spent cartridges. Like,
yeah,
absolutely. The shotgun's just on the floor.
Yeah, they climb the ladder up to the roof and just kind of or I guess going through some kind of ventilation system, but yeah, almost lose Lex. Yeah, Lex falls through that panel, and dude, oh man, just like,
I know what you're gonna say.
Like where she's she's dangling and just they barely pull her up right as it nips for her leg. It's like,
when that thing jumps. Okay, I'm not even kidding. When I watched this movie in 3D a couple of years ago, when that thing jumps and you get that shot, like looking up, like looking down, sorry, from the ventilation thing, that I was sitting with a friend and my friend just jumped, like literally just jumped, because that thing just comes up at you, man.
Yeah, it really does. It feels so invasive. It just pops out at you. But so yeah, they escape through these tunnels or these ventilation shafts, whatever the hell you want to call them, and wind up in what I referred to earlier as the lobby. But some uninvited guests show up. These raptors pop up again, and they're all just kind of dangling like on the skeleton of the T-Rex, and
this little trapeze act.
Yeah, so after our trapeze act, now they're on the floor, and just everywhere they're turning, they turn one way, here's a raptor, turn the other way, here's a raptor, and turn the other way, there's the third raptor. They're all starting to just kind of close in.
It's staged so well.
Yeah, dude, it's so great, and just a whole trifecta. And right when that first one jumps for it, our villain of the story kind of becomes our anti-hero. He saves their ass.
Yeah.
And
yeah, man.
doesn't even finish really eating the first one. He just the second one jumps on, and he's like, God, get off, and just it must be like a human with a cat on him. Like, get off me,
dude. People have so many issues with this sequence. They're like, oh, like how the hell did they not hear him coming? But I'm just like, shut up and enjoy the magic, man. Seriously, just enjoy the ride.
Right. And especially the line Sam Neill gives when they all get out to the Jeep, they all run out there. It's like, after careful consideration, I've decided not to not to sponsor your park.
That's so good, man. I love that.
Yeah, and just the whole and the T-Rex turning around and letting out that beast of a roar, and the banner falling, when dinosaurs ruled the earth.
That's the shot. That's the shot.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks so good. But so we've got Ian Malcolm, we've got the kids, we've got Grant, we've got Hammond, we've got Sattler, and right before they leave, there's that really touching moment of Hammond standing there and just kind of looking at everything, look at this world that I built. That's just, and he's so into it that when Grant touches him, he kind of jumps a little bit, he kind of staggers.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic, just to see that, man. He's almost like a wizard, just got that cane and kind of looking at the mosquito and the amber, and it's just, it's great. It's a good final scene, especially, they could have just blown right past it and cut straight to them leaving, but letting Hammond kind of get his last his last final bow, and I think that's really cool, and we're kind of right after that. Cutting this with,
he's been taught a lesson. I love that. He everyone in this movie, like as fun as it is and as action packed as it is, everyone learns their lesson, and there is an arc. Everyone has an arc in this movie, and it's so natural. It's so well done.
Right? Yeah. Between Grant, between Hammond, and Nidri never really learned his lesson, but who cares? He's dead.
He's that's his lesson. He's dead.
And it's cut with Grant on the helicopter. He's got a kid under each arm, and just looks so at peace, and it just looks really serene. And that final shot of him, maybe I'm looking a little bit too much into it, but him looking at the birds, and this whole time he's been theorizing about dinosaurs turning into birds and flying off. Like, maybe there's something there. Maybe I'm looking into it a little bit too much. But
I don't know, man, but like when I was a kid, I was like, wait, there are bird dinosaurs?
Oh my God. Birdosaurs!
Birdosaurus Rexes. We're going to get that in the sequel, and we didn't.
Yeah, right. But that's it, man. That's Jurassic Park. That's our first episode in the bag.
So, what are your final thoughts on this thing, man?
I think it's really good. I think that sometimes because there's not really a strict villain behind it, I do feel a little bit lost sometimes. Like, just not lost, but like, who am I? I know who I'm rooting for. Who am I rooting against sometimes? Because it feels a little bit, can you blame the dinosaurs? It's kind of like, do you get mad at a cheetah for eating a gazelle? It's like, I don't really know. Who is to blame here? And it does a good way of like shifting things around. Like, Nidri didn't mean to open the gates and kind of fuck everybody over. Hammond didn't mean to make, a Frankenstein's monster, if you will, kind of thing. And, there's really nobody to blame and nobody to pin as the villain. So as a movie guy, with protagonists and antagonists and stuff, it was kind of hard for me to, because I felt like sometimes it was never dragging, but the conflict was always there, but just kind of it was just a general conflict, like what we talked about, the storm coming in, Nidri kind of messing things up, the dinosaurs, breaking loose. Like, there's this whole, there's a lot of different things, like, no one is to blame, but it's just all of this chaos going on. And, all in all, if you ask me on a letter grade, what would I give it? I would definitely give it an A. It's definitely a classic. Will I ever own this? Probably not. It's just not, now that I've seen it, 2, 3, 4 times for the podcast, I've definitely got and of course, after talking about it for as long as we have, I've definitely got my Jurassic Park fill. But all in all, I would definitely give it an A. Solid A, not an A minus, not an A plus, just a good solid A. CGI still holds up, story is still good, acting's great, shots are fantastic. It's just really hard to argue that this is not one of the best movies of the last 25 years or 35 years. It's really just impossible to argue that.
So my final thoughts. That's great that you think that, but hey, man, to me, this is a perfect movie.
Of course.
That's a big call. I know. That's a big call. I mean, this is an absolute 10 out of 10. I don't really do letter grades. I'm sorry, but yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, there is no part of this movie that I dislike. Sure, like there are little niggles like here and there, like just whatever. What the last 3 hours, whatever we spent talking about that. But this is there's no other movie like this that makes you feel a sense of wonder and, like I said, all of these genres, and it's essentially a sci-fi. It is a sci-fi flick, but like it makes you feel like, oh man, like God, how cool would it be if we had like a dinosaur theme park, but at the same time, like it tells you, oh, that's why it wouldn't be cool, like,
right? Yeah,
but in terms of movie making, it's pretty damn good. I mean, it is Spielberg, and Spielberg is known for this kind of shit. Like, it's well shot, it's well directed, it's well acted, it's well paced. The music is amazing. John Williams is awesome. Dean Cundy, cinematographer. Like, the lighting of some scenes is just incredible.
Yeah.
The tension, I love the way it builds tension. Sometimes without music, sometimes with music. And essentially, it's just God versus man. If you want to get religious about it, it's God versus man. It's nature versus man. It's about technology, us misusing technology, and us not getting ahead of ourselves. It's just such a good cautionary tale.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it makes me think of the story about the was it Atticus, who had the wings that were made of it's mythology. He flew too close to the sun and the wings melted on him.
Oh, Icarus.
Icarus, thank you.
Icarus.
Yeah, not Atticus. Thank you.
Atticus is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Thank you. Actually, my girlfriend absolutely adores To Kill a Mockingbird. We've got a whole bunch of stuff for it. But yeah, unless there's anything else you want to say, I think that pretty much does it for us.
That pretty much is it.
Yeah.
That's our first big episode in the bag.
Woo-hoo! Also, and as always, if you like what you heard here, you want to hear some more, we're definitely going to have some more future episodes. We're going to be doing more news segments, talking about the things that you guys want to talk about and you guys want to hear about. And tell us, what you think about Jurassic Park. What were your thoughts and what were your views on it? And not just about the movie, but, shoot us an email. Let us know how the podcast was. And as always, Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the news segments, just tune into those, because I mean, me and Colin will alternate. We'll sometimes be solo, we'll sometimes be together, we'll sometimes even be with a guest. I know some people who've wanted to jump onto the mics, but in those episodes we'll also be teasing what we're going to be doing next, what big movie we're covering next. So, keep a lookout for that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you like what you heard here, just check us out on, we're on Spotify, we're on the podcast app for iOS. We're pretty much everywhere now. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram at Midnight Double Feature, and feel free to stop by, rate and review us, let us know what you think. If that's everything, I think that's it.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening in, guys. We really appreciate it. And be sure to keep an eye out on the next episodes. We're going to be dropping a little bit of news, a little bit of movies, a little bit of bromance, a little bit of Down Under, a little bit of Southern, that whole mixed bag. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, you guys. And we'll catch you next time.